Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Joe Hunk. About 3 hours ago, the Patriots held the press conference for Bill Belichick as he officially steps down as the New England Patriots head coach. He finishes his career in New England with 6 Super Bowl championships, 9 AFC championships, and a total of 302 wins as a head coach, which is 26 wins behind Don Shula's 328. Dan Lanning staying in Oregon. He announced a little while ago on his Twitter feed, so Alabama will be moving on from that. And wide receiver that a lot of Titans fans are looking to, wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. has officially declared for the 2024 NFL Draft. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols, the flagship station for your Tennessee Titans, as well as home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
HL 104.5 The Zone. What up? Hope you're having a great day. It is, what is today? I don't even know. Thursday.
Dang, I was about to say, but that would have been wrong.
That would be yesterday.
That was yesterday, Babsy.
You missed it. Another day, another story.
Another day, another dollar.
Tuesday.
Hit dog a holler.
Tuesday, Mike Vrabel fired. Wednesday, Nick Saban retires. We joked about it all day yesterday. That today's story, that things happen in threes, today's story would be Bill Belichick gone at New England. And what did we wake up to this morning?
Yeah, he didn't even wait. He was like, you know what? I think 6 o'clock on the East Coast, everybody's up. Let's do it.
24
get this going.
years.
24 years. The league's 103 years old, so
That's crazy.
Almost 25% of the time.
I had my alarm set for 5:40, and the news woke me up before my alarm.
Well, welcome back.
Oh.
He's Ron Slay.
Hey, I'm in the building.
Hey, I'm in the building. Best believe I'm in the building. Better be ready. I'm in the building. Car ain't got no rules.
Oh, season ain't got no rules.
For sure.
Oh, season ain't got no rules, baby.
So you went to Charlotte.
Best believe I'm in
You were at the hub of the SEC network,
I'm in there, ready to work.
and Nick Saban retires, and that building probably just went nuts.
You want me to tell you what it looked like, y'all? It was calm. It was so calm walking in there. I don't know if y'all remember the meme probably about 7 or 8 years ago that when they played that, everybody would be calm and they'll play the beat and then it's like the Gundam style or something will come on and everybody will be going crazy in the locker room and stuff.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. So it was calm walking in. The news broke and people start running through hallways. I'm like, hey, man, everybody's scrambling out here. Peter Burns was trying to get something together. I said, hey, y'all, listen, man. I know ain't nobody paying me no attention right now, but if y'all want to just do a football show today, that's cool. Ain't got no problem.
Which is basically what they did.
With or without my
How
liking.
long were you? You flew to Charlotte. How long were you on the air?
1 minute and 45 seconds.
Yes.
Saban rules the world.
Yes.
Like, that's amazing.
We
About
did
to rule the broadcast world, too, now.
We gonna jump in it?
Well, I mean,
100%, yeah.
he's so good on game day,
Yeah.
and I know for a fact that they want him. So
Yeah.
that's been going on for a minute.
Yeah.
That would be the natural landing spot for him, unless he, decides he wants to
Coach in the NFL.
right some wrongs in the NFL. That's a hole in his resume.
Yeah, but after listening to his interview with Reese Davis, he's
I missed the interview, man.
That's all right. We got the clips.
Oh, thanks, Webs.
She's Babsy.
What up,
Hi.
Babsy?
Honk!
I was getting the clips ready.
Hey, Mayor.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful day.
It is a
in
beautiful
Music
day
City.
in the Music City.
How long
Enjoy
will this
this
last?
sun. Enjoy this warmth, because it ain't going to last.
Babsy's weather is arriving.
Yes.
Her
How about-
favorite weather.
You said sun. What about Sunday and Monday?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
Polar vortex. It's coming.
We already got the
favorite time.
company email about making sure that we stay in a hotel if we need to so that we can come to work.
Oh, I'm getting
we?
here.
I'm like,
Yeah,
no.
we did.
Which means Joe already has a hotel room set.
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
Babs has sick days that she never takes.
Yep. Mama ain't driving in that mess.
I done missed the email.
Is it bad that I love driving in it?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
I think it's fun.
Now
It's-
you go a little extreme though.
You think it's real fun until you roll off the road and
I
have to
haven't.
sit there for hours.
I haven't.
Well, you do you, man.
I do.
I'm out.
I remember the last time we was out trailing each other. You just left us.
You
Then
left
Babs, we
us.
called each other like, "Hey man, does he know we behind him or like he's gone?"
I believe my comment was, does he know that we're driving on pure freaking ice?
That's what it was.
I have four-wheel drive. We were.
That doesn't matter on ice, and you know
we
it.
were on Franklin Road. That was
Yep.
snow, Babs. We were
That was
good.
not snow.
It was snow. We
it
were
was
good.
not snow. It's like,
That was ice, yo.
thank
Babs
you.
was the Atlanta. This is where the ATL comes out in her, man. It's like, I ain't dealing with that crap.
That was gone,
I'm telling
boy.
you, the most peaceful thing in the world is watching it snow. So I like to drive and watch it snow.
I ain't got a problem with the snow. I don't like the ice.
No, I'm good with the snow. It's the ice.
So if it were just snow, you would come in?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Remember the last snowstorm?
I was pissed.
You were pissed. Slay Dog had already been out at the grocery store
Yeah.
looking for like chicken broth or something.
No, it was marinara or something.
Yeah, for lasagna.
Yeah, I remember. Because I was like, y'all are not right.
I asked if y'all need anything. Could have swung it back for you.
I'm like, well, sure, but you can't get in or out of my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So enjoy.
You do have a big hill that leads right
Yeah.
into,
Yeah.
well,
And guess
the main
what?
road.
I have been stuck. My car sat there for like 3 days
I'll,
once.
I'll give you this.
Yep.
Like, once that happens to you once, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
that
like, I'm
opinion.
done. That was when I worked for News 2 and pulled like a 15-hour shift there.
Right. Well, once the snow has fallen and people have gotten home, like, there's nobody on the road.
That's
which is-
good part.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was nobody out because
Right,
nobody's
if it-
stupid enough to be out unless they absolutely have to.
Or you need marinara sauce.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say.
I mean, what's lasagna without marinara
People
sauce?
got to eat.
I
man.
mean,
Think about Heathcliff and
people have
Garfield.
different definitions of have to be out, but yes.
All right, Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots
He
part
gone.
ways.
He gone.
He is not done coaching, according to anyone that you want to listen to. That's a talking head on
Robert
ESPN.
Kraft talked about it.
Yeah. Josh McDaniels is available too, so probably take him with him, right? Just regroup everybody.
It's just recycling.
The incredible, excuse me, outside of the obvious winning, but the sustainability with him and Nick Saban. The sustainability of success. And they were both together in Cleveland. And Louis Riddick was talking about this because he played for that team. And he said even back then they were talking about process over scoreboard. And that's what they have built careers on. Bill Belichick sat down at the table today in Foxborough and said this.
All right, morning. Seen this many cameras since we signed Tebow.
Who said that?
Bill Belichick.
That was real.
That's hilarious.
That's how he opened the presser.
That is hilarious.
Hit us with that again.
He's the best.
All right, morning. Seen this many cameras since we signed Tebow.
You gotta love. You gotta love
Oh,
when
man.
responsibility is taken off the shoulders of coaches. Just let their hair
They
down.
just let it go.
It's
That's,
like cool.
that's how you start it right there.
Yes. No kind of press conference this gonna be.
We got jokes.
yeah, and it's on.
On to Cincinnati. None of that.
Nah, that's done. On to me.
He did thank his owner.
It's great. So much thanks for the opportunity to be the head coach here for 24 years. It's an amazing opportunity. Received tremendous support. We had a vision of building a winner, building a championship football team here, and that's exceeded my wildest dreams and expectations. The amount of success that we were able to achieve together, through a lot of hard work and contributions of so many people. So I'm very proud of that, and I always have those great memories. I'll carry with those with me the rest of my life.
Special
Whoa.
memories.
He sounded like
Sentimental.
half human and sentimental and emotional.
He
in
only
that.
talked for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it was it. No questions, nothing.
Robert Kraft talked, the owner of the Patriots, and about that very topic that I brought up, that he's not done coaching.
I thank Coach Bill for his hard work and dedication.
Coach.
It'll be difficult to see him in a cutoff hoodie on the sideline, but I will always continue to wish him continued success, except when he's playing our beloved Patriots.
Wow. I mean, that was, let me just go ahead and
Throw it out.
settle
In the
all
sand.
you out there that he wants to coach. He's going to coach again, and we're ready. We're good.
Kraft talking about why now.
Well, the last 3 years have been pretty tough, and I know for our dedicated fans and myself, and in life, I just learned things happen, and our family is the custodian of this asset, the New England Patriots, and we know how important it is to the psyche of the community, and what's gone on here the last 3-4 years isn't what we want. So we have a responsibility to do what we can to fix it to the best of our ability.
A topic that came up here, why did Miss Amy not try to trade Mike Vrabel? Same topic in New England.
That's an interesting question. I'm fortunate in our family. Our businesses are all private. And so we try to create a culture and develop an environment where people want to stay and stay long term. And I guess if you look at this as a transaction, he is so valuable in how we could extract something. I didn't think that was right. I didn't think it was right for Tom Brady, who gave us 20 years, and I don't think it's right for Bill. That I think each of them earned the right to be in a position where they should do what's right for us, given what they have done for this franchise. Some people might criticize me for not, extracting as much value, and I understand that, but we just try to do what we think is right for the proper values and ability to operate, and try to get people who want to come and feel that we're going to treat them fairly.
There you go. Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft addressing the media today. You'll hear from Nick Saban a little bit later. Mike McDaniel with some interesting words. We'll play for you a little bit later as well.
He's funny.
He is, and we'll take your phone calls
Quirky guy.
throughout the course of today's show and get your opinion. When we come back, Chris Stewart will join us. Bama Sidelines for a long time on the Roll Tide Radio Network. Also hosted the Nick Saban Show for a long time. You good?
Yeah, that was outside of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Did Robert Kraft feel like that about everyone, or did Bill Belichick feel like that about everybody?
What do you
question.
mean?
Like players that wanted out, did they feel like they should be able to go where they wanted to go? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Slay.
I'm just saying, like,
Slay.
yeah, but he said that like it was like this is the way we run it, but that's not the way it went. Just did it for two guys.
He's not lying. He's just being creative.
He's
with
well.
what he says.
He's saying if you're an important enough,
Yeah,
if you're high up enough guy,
yeah,
this is how we treat
If you're the
it.
greatest coach in the history of the NFL,
Right, and the
and the greatest
GOAT at
quarterback.
quarterback,
Yeah, okay,
greatest
yeah.
quarterback
Yeah,
ever.
all right, thanks, y'all.
Absolutely, we
Appreciate
will
that,
give
y'all.
you that.
I
Yeah.
was confused.
Yeah.
Sorry.
well, we're
He
here
just
to
he just
unconfuse you.
didn't give you like
Okay.
the details
Yeah, that's
on
all.
what he really meant there.
All right, thanks,
That's
y'all.
all.
All right, we'll get Chris Stewart's take on Nick Saban. He's got stories. We've had him on before. He's great. That's next. 3HL 104.5 The Zone. Go up to Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. That's where you need to go to get that next new vehicle, man. Maybe you need a four-wheel drive vehicle with the impending snowpocalypse coming up. You can get it done today, get it done this weekend, at least first half of this weekend. Go up to Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. That's where you need to go to get that next new vehicle. New or pre-owned car, truck, SUV, or Jeep. Daniel Gupton, King Gupton, and his guys, their guys, will be able to help you out. They'll listen to you, what you need, something bigger, something smaller, something with less of a payment, something more reliable. Whatever your needs are, they'll be able to help you out, and they'll do it with no pressure at all. They simply want you in the vehicle that's right for you. So go take that test drive, go inside. They'll help make the numbers work, and it'll be that easy. Best vehicle buying experience you've ever had. 3450 Tom Austin Highway in beautiful Springfield, Tennessee, just 30 minutes from downtown Nashville. GuptonMotors.com, the website, all of the dealership information is there. All of the inventory is there as well. That's GuptonMotors.com. Again, 3450 Tom Austin Highway, Springfield, Tennessee, just 30 minutes from downtown Nashville. That's Gupton Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
What's happening, good people? Listen, we've been telling you, Babsy and I, that it is storm season when the winter season rolls around, whether there be ice, rain, wind, whatever it is, it's knocking electricity out. You got to be prepared. You got an opportunity to do that with Cove generators, Babsy. Will the people take advantage of it is the question.
I hope so. And listen, if maybe you're looking at next week, that low of 8 with snow on Monday, low of 4 on Tuesday. Yeah, you want to call Cove Generators. They do have portable generators available as well. So keep that in mind. But the only way to make sure, I lost my power when it was windy last week. I don't know if you did too. The only way to make sure that your family is safe, that your food and all of that stays okay is to have a Cove generator in your house. And you can get an estimate on your Generac home standby generator from Cove Generators because they are your premier Generac home standby generator dealer. Call them today. Yes, they're busy, but they have the staff in place to help you out. 931-559-3311. Get ready for next week's issue of weather. Go to covegenerators.com.
And then stay connected through it all.
Yeah.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brett Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay. Executive producer of 3HL is Joe Hunk.
Sup?
As an Auburn and Tennessee fan, what are your thoughts about Nick Saban being gone?
Well, being that me and Chris Stewart just talked for a little bit and caught up, I'm devastated at what's going on right now in Tuscaloosa.
How was your Alabama fan wife last night?
Well, we had a really nice memorial. There were tears shed.
I mean, he ain't dead.
I mean,
What'd they do at Auburn yesterday?
Oh, they rolled tumors now.
They rolled Tumors Corner.
Speaking of Chris Stewart, here he is with the Crimson Tide Radio Network. Bama sidelines for a long time. Host of the Nick Saban Show for a long time. Basketball, play-by-play, baseball. Does it all for the Crimson Tide Radio Network. Chris, what's up, man? How are you?
I've been better, but I'm doing okay. I appreciate it.
How surprising was that news yesterday and within that community? Or did you guys kind of see this coming?
You know, it's funny you use that choice, surprising, because I've had some people say how surprised. I've had others say how shocked. And my response has been surprised, yes, shocked, no. Because, look, you knew it was coming at some point. And by some point, it could be any minute. It could be 5 years from now. But he's 72. He's in, thankfully, all appearances and everything I know in good health. He's obviously still successful at the highest level. It's not like he's slipping. But, eventually it's going to end. So surprising because of the timing, when it occurred, and the fact that, hey, the best to do it in this era is calling it quits. Yes, it's surprising, but shocking would not be what I would go with.
How would you characterize your relationship with Nick Saban over the years of being around him and working with him?
Always professional. I found him to be incredibly kind. I mean, I think you guys know I had some very serious health problems a few years ago. Had a stroke almost 6 years ago. 4.5 years ago, I had bypass surgery, got an infection. My family had been called in to tell me goodbye. It was serious as it gets. And Coach and Miss Terry were extremely kind to my family throughout all of that. And he was always kind, respectful to me, professional. But, I'm not hanging out at Lake Burton with him. We're not best buddies. I don't pretend to be more than what it is. He was always polite. He was always friendly, but he was always business in our interactions because, man, every second of every day was mapped out for him. And I understood that. I more than respected that. And I tried my best never to infringe on that. So it was a professional relationship. But I've got a video on my phone saved of him sending a message to me during the 2019 season where he's just finished filming the television show for that week. I'm in the hospital, and he's sending me a video message wishing me well and thanking me and telling me how much he appreciates the relationship we have and praying for me and my family and hopes that I'm back soon. And man, I've backed that video up about umpteen times to make sure that it's always in my family's possession somewhere. So beyond grateful for that.
No doubt. And we are glad you're here and healthy and chatting with us today, by the way.
Thank you.
You mentioned the professional relationship and all that. And I was fortunate enough to work sidelines for ESPN for a couple of Alabama games with Coach Saban. And there's always talk about, at this moment, what he kind of taught each person. You know what I mean?
Right.
And yes, we get the professional part of him and all of that, but is there something that maybe stands out about Nick Saban that the whole, a lot of people don't realize about him or don't know? Is there a moment at all where you realized when you first started working with Coach Saban that he is just different?
It depends on what you want to describe as different. In terms of locked in, laser focused, as in on the task at hand as anybody. I mean, I've never seen anybody more consistent in that regard. And the thing about consistency is there's really no one true moment that you can identify. It's every moment of every day or every encounter that's the same. That's what obviously consistency is. A couple of things that'll always stand out to me in favorite moments of mine. My very first year to do his television show. The third show we did done a preseason show. We had done a post game one show, and we're on the field at Beaver Stadium in State College, Pennsylvania. Nick Saban and Alabama have just won in that hallowed stadium against Joe Paterno, and it was before the scandal had broken, so it still had the same magical feel at that time. It's the new rising legend against a one that was well established in Joe Pa. And standing on the field after the game, we had about a minute. You got to understand, I'd never had a second of small talk with Nick Saban prior to this moment, but we had a moment where they were putting the microphones on us. And I said, "Hey, Coach," I said, "I've got 3 children. My middle child is 6 years old. The other night I'm watching a TV show, and he plops down on the couch next to me, and you and I pop up on the screen, and he turns and looks at me and he says, 'Hey, you're talking to Nick Saban.'" And Coach starts to grin and kind of chuckles the way you just did. And I told him, and I said, "Yes, son." And I said, "I sure am." And my son takes another bite of cereal and kind of nods his head, and then he goes, "That's really cool. Next time you see him, tell him I said hello." And Coach started laughing just as you guys are. And he said, "Well, you tell Parker I said hello." And I said, "Coach, I promise I will." Well, that's how I started. I said, "Coach, Parker says hello." He goes, "Will you tell Parker I said hello?" I said, "Coach, I promise I will." And then they said, "Okay, we're ready." And I said, "All right, let's go. 3, 2, 1. And I thought, okay, even with all that this guy clearly is, he's human and he's a dad and he gets that. And there was a similar moment years later. I happened to be filling in 6, 7 years ago now on his TV show or radio show, one night. Vern Lundquist was the media guest with us. And my daughter had come with me. It was her 16th birthday. And I didn't ask a lot of questions that night. I let the audience and Vern ask the questions by and large. And I said, "Coach, I got a question." I said, "What's it like raising a 16-year-old daughter? Because as of today, I've got a 16-year-old daughter." And, it would have been, for him to give a quick answer would have been nice, something kind of light. He gave a 2-minute, thoughtful, insightful answer about parenthood. And it was phenomenal. And when he finished, and I said, "Coach, that's amazing. I appreciate it." I said, "But that 16-year-old girl is sitting right over there at that table. And if when this show is over with, I don't get a picture of you with her, I'm going to have to spend the night with you and Miss Terry because I'm not going to be allowed back in the house." And he made sure, he told security, he said, "Go get Ann, go get Chris's daughter." He goes, "Because I got to get that picture with her." And for him to, again, there literally were 250, 300 people in that restaurant that night that wanted a picture and autograph. He made sure that he got one with my daughter. And that's just a moment of kindness that's probably not a big deal to many, but if you see the spotlight and the time demands and the requests that are made of him, it meant a lot to me, and clearly it still does 7 years later.
Yep, no doubt. I love hearing those stories because you get a glimpse of it here and there when you've been able to be around him or cover him and how human and actually kind he is. So yeah. And this
Look,
comes
when I
from
was
an
in the
Auburn girl,
hospital- Yeah, I understand. Hey, look, I get it. Look, let me tell you, there's nobody that was spoken of more reverently in my house growing up than Suge Jordan. In the fact that I called him by the right name. I didn't say Coach Jordan. I said Suge Jordan. There was a reverence for coaches then, and I think clearly Coach Saban has that same now, that level of respect. And Auburn rolling Toomer's corner, I heard people get upset. I said, that is the ultimate sign of respect
Yes, it
Yep.
is.
to me, that Auburn thought enough of the guy that him stepping aside, hallelujah, praise the Lord, and pass the toilet paper, we're going to roll the place.
I know.
That is a 21 gun salute as far as I'm concerned, coming from Auburn fans.
We were talking about it
100%.
yesterday when that news came down that they were rolling Toomer's Corner, and I thought I just had this romantic view in my head of all of the SEC schools, whatever that focal point is on campus, everybody gets together and does whatever celebration they think is right. I just think that would have been amazing for him.
If they ain't painting the rock in Knoxville, man, I'm shocked that you're missing an opportunity.
Well, Chris, don't you worry. I'll probably head up there after the show and make sure that's done.
Go get them, Slay.
Chris Stewart,
do it.
Crimson Tide Radio Network with perspective on Nick Saban.
Chris, I got to ask you, man, like, when you see legends like this walk out the door, you can sometimes see the window closing. You start to see it on guys' careers when they play. You see it on some coaches. And it's like, okay, you get guys that are coming along, whether it be administration or the media, and they kind of like start pushing the guy out of the door. That wasn't the case for Nick Saban. So when you say surprised or shocked, like, how important is that for his legacy, though? Like, he actually walked away on his own. Yeah, he didn't go back to the Wizards like Jordan or anything of that nature. Like, he's still right there at the pinnacle.
Let me tell you, he loses in overtime to the national champion. And if you saw the national championship game, it's kind of hard to think that the Rose Bowl itself may not have been the title game. That's amazing. That we were real close to Hollywood, I could see it I could see the Hollywood sign outside of my hotel room window in LA. We're pretty close to Hollywood. That's the only way the Hollywood script could have been any better. Yeah. But to have it finish in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl, with a team that in week 2 now, and not a lot of people would have put money on Bama playing in the semifinals at that point. And somebody brought up to me in the last day or so, I wish he'd told the team or told everybody at the start of the year so they could have given him a send-off. I said, that'd have been the most un-Nick Saban-like thing ever, because he doesn't want attention on him. He wants it on the team. He wants it on the players. And can you guys imagine the pressure that those guys would have been under if they had lost, if everybody had known that this was the Nick Saban farewell tour and they lose game number 2 to Texas? I mean, it was tough enough to get better and to win the games they won and go on and win an SEC title anyway. Yeah. But if you got the pressure of knowing that this is the last ride, man, I can't imagine with those. That might have been an 8-win football team. Yeah. If they'd had to play under that pressure. There's always pressure at Alabama. There's expectation at Alabama. There's expectation anywhere in the SEC. But it's at a different level when you put on that crimson jersey and play for Alabama. And the fact that you would have it on your minds and have it on your heads, that you had a season's worth of it, game after game after game. Alabama's players under Coach Bryant knew their very last game in the Liberty Bowl against Illinois was going to be Coach Bryant's last. He had announced it after the Auburn game that the bowl game would be his last. And those players they didn't play a perfect game, but I've talked to Jeremiah Castile about this many times, and he spoke to the team in the locker room. He said, only time in 4 years I ever said a word to anybody. But I asked Coach if I could speak, and said, Coach, there is no way we're letting you go out a loser. We're going to win this football game. But it's one thing to do it for a single game. I cannot imagine the burden of carrying that for an entire season. Yeah.
Tony Eason was the Illinois quarterback in that bowl game.
Yes, he was.
Who played
and almost won
for the New England Patriots for his career, to go back to Robert Kraft and that crew. But, so you think he's done. There's no way like he sits around and thinks, you know what, I could have done more in the NFL. Maybe I'll go coach
the Titans.
Will Levis in Nashville.
Let me tell you, the Titans could do far worse.
Yeah.
I don't know that they could possibly do better.
Yeah.
But I think he's coached his last game. Now, I think he'll be part of a team again. And I'm not telling you any inside information. I know nothing, and anybody that knows me at all would not be surprised by hearing me say I don't know anything. But
Come on,
the
Chris.
the truth is, I'd be a little surprised if he's not on the game day set next year. And I wasn't really sure 2 years ago that I thought that would take place, but I've got a sneaky feeling that you'll see him on game day. You didn't get him to put any headgear on like Lee Corso, but there could not be a better to follow Coach Corso than Nick Saban. I think what it would bring to that show, and he's really good, really, really good.
Yep.
In those conversations. He's got a great relationship with each of those guys on the set, including Pat McAfee, who, man, I'm not saying he's nuts, but he can see it from where he is. And those guys are highly entertaining, and he would fit in perfectly, I think.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I said that in the first segment of today's show. I know that they love him, which I know you know that too. So, yeah, that makes complete sense. And, like, it's funny because you watch him coach all these games and you watch him on the sideline and interact with reporters and all that, and you wouldn't think he would be good at it. And then he did it, and you're like, holy crap, he's great at this. Yeah. So, yeah I'm with you on that.
He is. You know, he never – and that's the thing with the TV show. People saying, oh, I bet he hates doing that and this, whatever. Some of the TV show that I host, it's his show, but, you know, I'm the host for it. And I'm like, man, this guy wanted everything he touched to be first class.
Yeah.
And if he was going to take the time to be a part of it, he wanted it to be great. And he expected that. Now, he didn't want to waste a lot of time, but he wanted it to be done right. He wanted it to look good, to come across as good. I don't know that he ever watched it a single time, but Miss Terry would. Miss Terry saw it, and he had friends or family that would, and he'd hear if it wasn't good, and then we'd hear about it.
Yeah.
But he look, everything that he was a part of and involved him or the University of Alabama, period, he thought it should be first class and should be done well, and we always tried to make sure that was the case for him.
There he is, Chris Stewart. Man, great to hear your voice, brother. Thank you for making the time.
You guys too.
I know you've
glad
been pulled.
to. I appreciate you asking.
Yep, Crimson Tide Radio Network, Chris Stewart. Thanks, Chris. See you, buddy.
Thanks, Chris.
Anytime, guys. Y'all be good.
You want to talk about first class? That guy right there, man.
Yeah. Yep.
This is year 28 for me in this business. I've known him for all of that time.
That's dope.
He is awesome. Tomorrow we broadcast live from the new Scoreboard Bar and Grill location at Cedar Creek Marina, so make sure you head on out there. Hear from Nick Saban when we come back. Why did he retire now? That's next, 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening, people? Ron Slay here. Holistic stem cell therapy was what I'm bringing to you, and I've got to tell you my story because it is one that relates to it so well. Even starting back when I was about 18, 19 years old, was having a little inflammatory pains with my knee, and I wish I could have had this taken care of then with my body, my cells, my solution. I could have used my cells way back then and had them stored at a 19-year-old Slay. Imagine that. Because they're stored and redeployed based on your needs. These are the stem cells that attack inflammation in your body. So if I'd had a 19-year-old Slay and to compare it now with 42 years old, if my knees started hurting, I could go in there and use those 19-year-old cells. Imagine how fast you heal. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Get on it, man. You got kids that are involved in sports and things of that nature. Even you can get on it right now. I promise it comes through for you. Get your consultation, 615-850-4415, KellumStemCellInstitute.com.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brett Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay. Pick a story. Everybody's got a story. Mike Vrabel fired.
Pick a story. Get a story. Everybody gets a story.
Nick Saban retires. Bill Belichick out in New England. We were
But still going to coach.
We were talking this morning about who could we get on to offer some perspective about these things. And Chris Stewart did a great job from Bama Sports Network. We thought about Tracy Wolfson and asked her. She said, I'm so sorry I have zero time today and tomorrow in Buffalo all day with meetings. You know I wish I could. And then I said, yep, cold and windy up there, huh? High temperature of 25, gusts to 50 miles per hour winds.
They were talking about an extra plan to move the game if they have to.
Jeez. From
What's
Buffalo?
sadness?
Yeah.
That's actually warm compared to what Kansas City's going to be like on Saturday night.
I know,
Kansas
but
City.
it's the extra stuff that goes with
Yeah,
that.
Buffalo
Set
got
off the
tables and fires. They should have to go nowhere.
They should be good.
Yeah, they should be fine.
Ugh,
Light everything up.
You can
What's
face
Kansas
plan
City
off
gonna
of
be?
anything.
a high of 8.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
but
what we are next week.
Yeah, but the game's at 7:30 at night,
Oof.
and the low temperature is like -5.
Hey, listen, you've done
That's
that
what we-
stadium,
Bastards just
standing on
putting
that
everything
concrete in
in
that
on
cold.
us. That's how we are next
That's what, Kansas City people teach you something, man. You don't stand on the concrete. You break down boxes, beer boxes. You stand on the cardboard, and it works.
I got to be at home for that one.
I mean, it's still cold, but
Kickoff
Makes 0 sense for me to
will
do
be at 5 degrees
Oof.
Kansas City,
in Kansas City on Saturday night.
yeah, and then headed down below 0.
Yeah, it's going to be
The coldest
Aren't
temperature
you glad
that
you hooped?
Yes.
Miami has ever played in is 10 degrees, and that was at Kansas City also, and they won that game.
What's the coldest game you guys been to?
Probably that Kansas City game. How cold was it that day? I was with your husband.
Yeah, I sat in the press box.
Yeah.
Babsy.
They had tickets and sat in the stands. I'm like, I'm not doing that. No way.
Dude, that press box is up there, too.
Oh, yeah.
And-
But it was warm.
And the windows in the press box are floor to ceiling, but they lean.
Yeah, you feel like you're about to
Fall in.
fall in.
Yeah. What? So, well, how cold was it though? Like 30,
No.
20?
Yeah, it was in the teens.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I think I've been to one. I went to see Savage and them playing AFC Championship at New England, and
Oh, yeah.
they put the visitors all the way up on
Up
the
top.
third tier.
So you get the wind.
Dude,
I'm telling you, it's the
That's
wind chill
stupid.
factor is what gets you. Like probably the most miserable, coldest game I worked was one of them at least was. Well, the Apple Cup was pretty dang cold, and that was like a 7:00 at night kick.
That's
That was
Washington,
last year.
Washington State.
that's
for
the
those that
problem.
don't
Is
know.
they
That was
take
in
these to
Pullman.
night games, primetime
Yeah,
games.
but Northwestern, you know that wind just howls. I swear it was. I mean, gusts were ridiculous, but it was like a solid 40-mile-per-hour wind the entire game, and it was only 30 degrees, but it was like sleet and rain with that wind. It is the coldest, most miserable weather I have ever stood in.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
I asked Tracy, I said, how much did you like working with those two? Were there similarities of greatness from your view? She said, yes, similarities, but very different personalities.
Yeah.
Hard to crack Belichick and really tight-lipped on everything, as you know, but both brilliant coaches that knew how to get the best out of their teams and create a winning game plan. That from Tracy Wolfson.
There you go.
With CBS Sports.
She's worked with Nick Saban. She's covered Nick Saban heavily when her time with CBS for SEC
Vern
games.
Lundquist, Gary Danielson, and Tracy on the
Wilson.
sideline. That was a great crew, man.
That has an awesome crew.
Yep.
Pete Carroll, right?
Yeah.
She's covered him numerous times, and Bill Belichick. Like how cool is that? She's covered all the goats there.
So she's got the Bills and the Steelers. That's a 10-point line. We'll talk with Todd Furman later in the show, get odds on Titans' next coach, Bama's next coach, and hit on those NFL playoff games. With Greg Cosell, we were talking with Greg Cosell this morning about what direction. He said, let's talk about coaching candidates for the Titans. And so I hit him with like all the guys that they have requested and some others that will obviously get a look. And so he'll offer his perspective on the Titans coaching candidates. At 4 o'clock in the next segment, Chris Lowe broke the Nick Saban retirement story. He will join us when we come back. Speaking of Nick Saban, we have time for this, huh?
Yes, we do.
Why he decided, this is with Reese Davis, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Why he
Sports Center.
decided now is the right time to step down.
No, I don't think there's any good time, especially when you're a coach. because once you're a coach, you think you're going to be a coach forever. But I actually thought that in hiring coaches, recruiting players, that my age started to become a little bit of an issue. People wanted assurances that I would be here for 3 years, 5 years, whatever, and it got harder and harder for me to be honest about. And to be honest, this last season was grueling. It was a real grind for us to come from where we started to where we got to. Took a little more out of me than usual, and when people mentioned the health issue, it was really just the grind of, can you do this the way you want to do it? Can you do it the way you've always done it and be able to sustain it and do it for the entire season? And if I couldn't make a commitment to do that in the future, the way I think I have to do it, I thought maybe this was the right time based on those two sets of circumstances that, like I said, there's never a good time. But I thought maybe this was the right time.
I can respect it.
For sure. A lot of people asking this question, were health reasons involved in this decision?
Yeah, there's no illness. Miss Terry's fine. I'm fine. But it was can you sustain the season, from just a mental grind standpoint. And when I was young, I could work till 2 a.m, get up at 6 and be there the next day and be full of energy and go for it. But when you get a little older, that gets a little tougher, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
He wanted to say a different phrase, and he had to stop himself. I would wake up and be full of energy.
True. Hunk looked it up. That Kansas City game, at game time, it was 17. Mm-hmm. It also got dark in that game, too. So
yes.
I don't know what
started light.
I don't know what the temperature was when
at halftime.
Yeah, or in the fourth quarter when Derrick Henry went running by us to kill the game. That was awesome. Also, your husband was very warm. Because
just for the record, he was not my husband then.
No,
I actually
you didn't even
know him then. But I knew of him from you. Yeah, he was warm because the first time I met him, he had one of those massive Coke cups. Right? Like think styrofoam.
Think Big Gulp.
Big Gulp,
we went into a convenience store. Convenience stores in Kansas City sold Jack Daniels, for example.
Uh-huh.
Way back then. That's wow.
So Harder got the big cup, filled it with ice, got the Jack Daniels, which was behind the counter. The guy that sold him the Jack Daniels, the clerk, had a gun on a holster.
That's real.
Gave him the Jack Daniels. While he's paying, Harder unscrews the top of the Jack Daniels, pours the whole thing into that Big Gulp, and then goes back over and fills the rest with Coke.
The entire fifth.
Good God.
I think the cup was called the Missile.
My boy he was a missile.
He was warm, apparently.
Yes, he was.
That was a wild scene, man.
He took off. Good gosh.
I don't know the wildest part of that scene. You got a guy behind the counter with a gun on his holster.
That's Missouri for
the
you.
fact that you can buy liquor at the gas station.
That was the wildest. Like, what?
My guy's got a gun, Jack Daniels, anything you want.
It's real.
Coke.
Anything else?
Oh, man. All right, Chris Lowe coming up next. He broke the story. Man, he's been around Saban for a long time. That's next. 3HL 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, after this weather we have coming next week, you're going to need some pampering in your life. Maybe a massage or manicure, pedicure, something to make you feel better. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa can do it. Everybody loves a spa day. Trust me, it doesn't matter. Male, female, old, young, busy, not busy. Everybody loves a spa day. And the beautiful thing about a Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa is that they have all of these services all in one place. So you can go and get a massage or a manicure, pedicure, sunless tanning, waxing, facial, get your hair done, your makeup done. They can do all of it, and it is all in one building. So it's one trip and perfect. and it smells amazing in there too. A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. That's where you need to go if you need some pampering here this January. Gift cards available 24/7 on their website, amomentspeace.com, or call them 615-224-0770. You want to do something special for somebody, they can set it all up for you with their concierge service. They're awesome. And you can also just stop by the intersection of Carruthers Parkway and Bakersbridge Avenue. That's A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa.
Good afternoon from the 1045 The Zone Studios. I'm Joe Hunt. Nick Saban sat down with Reese Davis just a little while ago to discuss his decision to retire. One of the questions that always pops up when you're a legendary head coach that's been coaching at a university for a long time is it a health issue?
Yeah, there's no illness. Mr. Terry's fine. I'm fine. But it was can you sustain the season, from just a mental grind standpoint. And I when I was young, I could work till 2 in the morning, get up at 6, and be there the next day and be full of energy and go for it. But when you get a little older, that gets a little tougher, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Now, also happening right now is the fact that Arch Manning looks like he may be sitting out for a second season, as quarterback Quinn Ewers has just announced on social media that he will be returning to Texas for his senior year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Vols, the flagship station for you Tennessee Titans, as well as home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brent Doherty with you on a beautiful day in the Music City. Hope you're having a great Thursday. Don Davenport and Ron Slay are both here. Lots of stories out there. One of them, obviously, hitting us yesterday during the show, thanks to this guy, Chris Lowe, dropping the broken news with regard to Nick Saban's retirement. Chris Lowe joins us now. Chris, what's up? How are you?
Doing great. It's good to be with you guys. Not a lot going on in the sports world.
Yeah. you wouldn't know if it was or not, CeeLo.
No, you're not connected at all, CeeLo. You just broke the biggest story in college football. Period.
In decades.
Ever.
I don't know about that, but I was a little surprised. I thought that, he had gotten back from Florida, had been on campus for a few days. Florida, he has a place in Florida with his wife went there, talking about Saban. Had worked like, nothing was different. Just interviewing coaches and players. So I felt like once we got to Wednesday, nobody there seemed to think that he was retired. And then I get somebody calls me in the middle of the day on yesterday and said, "Hey, so I think something might be up." Well, is that he's retiring, or is he getting ready to go tell his team he's definitely staying for another year? And then about the time he's ready to go into his team meeting, I got a tip and tells this kid he's leaving. So, yeah, I was a little surprised. I do know that he's thought about this over the last couple of years, and he's assessed his career and his life with his wife and sort of where they are, his health. Can he do the job the way he wants to do it? And I think at the end of the day, when I talked with him this morning, I think that's sort of what he came to that conclusion, that he could still do it, but it wouldn't be to his standard, that he could not give the same commitment to being the head coach of Alabama that he had for the rest of his tenure. At 72, as he said, "Hey, man, 14-hour days at 72 are a lot harder than they were at 62. And it's time to walk away. Program's in good shape." He hands it over to somebody that's not inheriting a mess. They're inheriting a program that just went to the playoff. And I think that's pretty selfless on his part. A lot of guys that have been in a place for a long time and had a lot of success, they don't leave until that ship starts to take on water a little bit, and starting to dip. Well, this may have been one of his better coaching jobs to get that program and to get the team from, which was always clearly had talent, but from sort of the doldrums and figuring out what they were going to do in quarterback in week 2 to being an overtime loss away from Michigan to play for the national title.
Chris Lowe with us from ESPN.com, senior college football reporter, broke the Nick Saban retirement story yesterday. Chris, how much do you think went into this decision regarding the changing world of college football with NIL and everything that is going on that some coaches complain about?
I asked him that point blank this morning, and he was adamant, almost defiant, that he said, "Listen, don't make it about that. That's not the reason I'm walking away." He said, "I don't want people to think that somehow is driving me out." Now, he also acknowledged that he's been frustrated for a couple of years now at the lack of uniformity with regard to NIL and portal and players coming and going. And he said, "But every coach is." He was on a conference call with coaches yesterday, SEC head coaches, and he said not a single coach on that call was happy about where college football has gotten to, and not just because players are being paid, but the fact that it's the tampering. It's everyone's looking for a different deal through their attorney or their agent. I think that was something that was not his favorite part of the game, but that's not the reason he's leaving. Will he miss it? I mean, will he miss that part of the game? No, absolutely not. But I think it was again, I can't say it any more simpler than this. He only knows one way how to do something, and that's 100% all the time, full go. And I think where he had gotten to in his life, at being 72, and the wear and tear of the season, and just the long days, as he really sort of did some deep soul searching, he just didn't think he could continue to operate and perform as a coach at the level that he always has in the past.
So what will we see next from Nick Saban, do you think, and how involved will he still be in the Alabama football program?
I think he will be involved to this degree, Dawn. I think he always wants to be a resource for them. He told me that. I think he will have some type of presence there with the university, whether it's as a consultant or special assistant to the AD or president or ambassadorial role or something like that, where when they need him for whatever, fundraising, a big decision at the university, anything, as he told me, that might be of help to the University of Alabama, then he wants to be there and support in any way he can. But he's not going to have an office 2 doors down from the head coach or from the AD, constantly sticking his head in meetings. That's not who he
Drawing
is.
up plays like Spurrier.
Spurrier.
Yeah. Hey, I get your tight end open. Let me show you this play right here. Get your tight end open down the field. That's not who he'll be. Yeah, but I think he told me there's things he wants to do in his life too. That walking away now, he's still got a really good quality of life. He's healthy. And it gives he and his wife Terry a chance to do some things. They got grandkids. They got a new home down in Florida that I think they've been in like 3 times maybe now. He loves to play golf. He went to Italy this summer for 10 days and really had a good time when a lot of the family went. Doing things he's just never done, man. He's been a head coach either at the collegiate or NFL level for 30 years. His first job was in '73 as a GA. So this is all he's ever done. And I think there was a time when he shuddered to think what his life would be without football or without coaching football. But I think as he's gotten older, he's come to terms with, you know what, there is life after football. And I think he's ready to enjoy it. I was kidding him. I said, so this means there's no excuse now that you won't be able to get your handicap down to 1, 2, or 3 in golf. And he said, "No." He said, "I don't know about that, but I can tell you this: I'll be playing a lot more golf than I have in the past."
CeeLo, let me ask you: do you think people understand how influential he's been, not only to the school as a whole, but to other sports as well, and outside of the sports, just like the administration throughout the university and other programs? As far as, when you want to close a deal, you got a recruit on campus for tennis. Hey, Saban, you mind popping through here? We really need to get this guy. Do you think people understand how influential he is in that aspect of it?
Probably not, Ron. That's a great question, because, when you're in the moment and you're watching something real time, whether you're a fan or, you're an administrator or what have you, you probably don't appreciate what's going on and the value of somebody like a Saban. But, Joe Johnson, the former University of Tennessee president, used to always say that the football program and your athletic program, but certainly in the SEC, their football program is a front porch in university. Well, Alabama's front porch over the last 17 years has brought in students from all over the world. It's brought in more out-of-state students than they'd have, quadrupled in the past. It's brought in more national merit scholars. Ask the merchants and the people that own sports bars and hotels in that town, and look at the league. Look at the SEC. I think the way it's dominated college football for the last 25 years. Well, a big part of that is what Alabama's done, and the run that he's had, and the way he's done it, the way he has set up, Ron, an NFL type system, and the way his entire organization runs. on a collegiate campus, and everyone's sort of trying or has been trying to duplicate that now. Yeah. From everything, the training room, the weight room staff, the well-being of student athletes, nutrition, everybody. And so much of what you see now as being the norm in college football, a lot of it was what he sort of either started or helped take to another level. But no, you're right, man. I don't think we probably won't till a few years as we look back and say, man, can you believe not all that he did on the field, but just how much he influenced the game. And I'll tell you what else he did. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear this, but look at the money that schools have had to dole out over the last 15-plus years to buy out coaches, trying to keep up with Alabama. I'm talking about millions upon millions of dollars, and going through and recycling through coaches because, hey, if Alabama can do it, then we can do it. Let's get rid of this guy and bring in this guy. And so I bet if you counted up those dollars and cents, and I did it not too long ago, a couple of years ago, it'd be astronomical. And on the other side of that, I would add this. The figure, the dollar figure that players who played for him, the contracts they've signed in the NFL is in the hundreds of millions. I think it's way, way, way up there. So yeah, he's impacted a lot of lives. And I know around the conference, people are probably jumping up and screaming and clapping that they finally got rid of him. The Alabama's finally, not Alabama, but Saban's finally gone. But I think if you step back, no matter if you're Tennessee or Georgia or LSU or whoever you're Auburn, you step back and look at his greatness and just sort of what he's meant to the sport for a long time.
No doubt. So before we let go, we have to ask because word is out there that the hire will be made here within the next 48 hours for Alabama. What is that looking like? I know you probably have to get on your phone and do some searching and all of that here the next day or so, but what does it look like for Alabama?
Yeah, and I think you're right, Dawn. I think it will be pretty quickly. I don't expect this to drag into next week. The two names I've heard the most are Kalen DeBoer and Mike Norvell. Of course, DeBoer at Washington, Norvell at Florida State. Not necessarily that order. Let's just say that was alphabetical. That's right, Slay. D becomes before N, right? You're a scholar.
I was in the New York City streets. Don't ask me that, CeeLo.
But those Dawn, are the two I've heard the most. I don't think Lane Kiffin's in it. I don't think Dabo Sweeney's in it. Dan Lanning probably would have been in it. He's got a massive buyout, over $20 million, and Dan has come out today and said, hey, he's not leaving Oregon. He's not going anywhere. I think they'll interview Tommy Rees, who was the coordinator this year there. I think they'll interview Mike Locksley, who was there under Saban and has done a really good job at Maryland at turning that program around. I think DeMeco Ryans, that's sort of would be going the NFL route. Is certainly somebody they should talk to. Now, would he be interested in leaving the NFL to come to college? Because I think DeMeco is going to get an NFL head job sooner as opposed to later. But he's an Alabama grad, a great football player, and he's been one of those guys in the NFL, one of those risers that you can point to now for a couple of years and saying, this guy's going to be a great head football coach.
He is. After
that, Sarkisian's a guy I think, he may be a long shot, but I think this is probably more him getting a raise. Will help him get a raise at Texas because Texas is going to the SEC next year. I don't know why he would leave Texas and go to Alabama when they're already moving to the SEC and he's already making tons of money with all the resources in the world. But I'll point this out. This is, it's no big revelation. Everybody knows it. The guy that represents DeBoer, Norvell, and Sarkisian is the same guy.
Is that Jimmy?
Jimmy Sexton.
The one and only.
I saw there's video of him in the Alabama building this morning.
I saw that and laughed. I was going to text it to him. In fact, I might have that he's got people on site monitoring his every move.
Gotta love
and by the way, Slay and Brent, you guys know this. Yeah, that would be University of Tennessee alum
Yep.
Jimmy Sexton.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, might as well let everybody know.
That is true. Hey, great work, Chris. Appreciate you, man. Especially carving out time. I know your phone's been blowing up since breaking that thing.
Yeah.
You bet, guys. It's always great being with you. You guys have a great night.
Thanks,
There it is.
CeeLo.
Chris Lowe at CeeLo ESPN.
Another goat.
You know, he
Interesting stuff.
He dropped D'Amico Ryan's name.
Yes, he did. Interesting comment too, man. When you need the way people go about validating themselves, coaches, like that was interesting about him. Chris Lowe bringing that up about if you add up all of the first round picks that he got into the league and what he did for them. You know who always brings that up for validation? Coach Cal at Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's the goal.
But you know what I'm
He'll tell
saying?
you.
Like, but then you look on the opposite end of it, a person that is on that Mount Rushmore with championships to validate themselves and the work to validate it, they don't need to do that. That was just interesting to me.
He's had more first-round picks than losses. Makes sense.
Nuts. 44-29. And it's not even close.
No, it's not even. Don't even think about it.
Jeez.
Oh, man, crazy, man.
Crazy is a good word for it.
Crazy, man.
All right, with regard to the Titans opening, there are a bunch of names out there. We're going to roll through some of these names with Greg Cosell, get his take on it next on 104.5 The Zone.
All right now, residential, commercial, and industrial. Hey, listen, companies, I'm talking to you right now. Don't be the Mr. Do-It-Yourself guy and make yourself look crazy to your other employees, to your friends and family that are in town. Don't do it. You can get Milliken Corp to come out and handle all of this. I mean, all of this snow and ice removal that's about to hit. And I'm telling you, get ahead of it right now. But that's on a whole nother topic. But I'm just telling you, you want to get ahead of it, get Milliken Corp involved, 615-238-5909. 238-5909. It's real easy to call them and go on and set it up ahead of time. The ice is coming. The snow is coming. We'll cross our fingers for the ice. But it's also snow and ice removal. That's what it is. Experts in concrete, asphalt, grading, and drainage services. I love being associated with them. Why? Because they stand on exactly what they are. Hungry, humble, and smart. They go get it. You need to go get it with them. Decorative concrete, stamped concrete, does not matter. Don't you choose the wrong asphalt? Nope. Don't do it. It ain't your fault. Get Milliken Corp involved.
3HL 104.5 The Zone Thursday edition. Brett Doherty, Don Davenport.
Throat Punch Thursday.
Ron Slay. It is Throat Punch Thursday. I don't know, man. Like I just feel I'm trying to figure out what the next story is.
Anybody deserve a throat punch in it?
The next story will be if D'Amico Ryans takes the Alabama head coach.
Yeah, way to go, Chris Lowe, who
Wow.
doesn't follow the NFL per se, but threw
That's
that
crazy.
out there.
That means he's on their list.
Yeah. That
I mean, I'm not putting news out there, but
No, Chris said it.
Chris
Yeah, he said
Lowe
it.
doesn't just
kinda
drop
happy if he
random names.
so he don't like. You
I'm
think
just saying.
going from the NFL to college is a head scratcher in a sense because of everything you got to put up with. But he's young enough, and
1,000%.
yeah, but he's young enough and in tune with enough.
And it's built
people-
for you.
You know what I'm saying?
Some guys are love the college football coaching
Yep.
landscape. Other guys, the dream is the NFL.
And as
So,
much as he's,
I don't know.
And
I don't know where
Very
D'Amico
right.
is
It
on
is
that.
so
You're right.
different, right?
Yeah.
Let's bring Greg Cosell
You
in
in
from
there.
NFL
You know
Films. Greg, what's up? How are you?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Hi,
What up,
Cosell.
Cosell?
Doing well. We just had Chris Lowe on from ESPN. He broke the Nick Saban retirement story yesterday, and then he just happened to kind of throw D'Amico Ryans' name in as a possible candidate at Alabama. How good of a job did he do with that team? Obviously, I know from a statistics standpoint, 3-13-1 last year, and they win the division, host a playoff game this year. What did you see from him this year?
Well, I mean, I don't know what he does, on a day-to-day basis. Obviously, they got the quarterback right.
Yeah.
And when you get the quarterback right, and he played every game, I believe, but two, that goes a long way. When you draft a quarterback with the number 2 pick in the draft, in many ways, everything you do has to be geared toward making that guy a big-time player. And, don't forget, he came from the Niners. He understood that. He brought in Bobby Slowick, who was with the Niners. And by the way, Bobby Slowick was also on that Washington staff in 2013 with Kyle Shanahan, with Mike McDaniel, with Matt LaFleur. Sean McVay was on that staff. Kevin O'Connell may have been on that staff as well, if memory serves me correctly.
Wow.
So D'Amico
That's a
Ryans
staff.
Yeah.
understood how important the quarterback is, because often defensive coaches come in with the attitude of the quarterback is just a piece of our team, and we're going to, and ultimately, look, I learned this from people smarter than I, that when you draft a quarterback high, that everything in the building must be geared to making him a great player, and that starts with the receptionist and the janitor and everybody else. That's the goal, because if CJ Stroud doesn't make it, then, D'Amico Ryans, and he might be a great coach. None of us know that. We're not there, but he may be a great coach. But if the quarterback isn't any good, then you know what? In 3 years, they're going to say he's not a great coach.
True.
Speaking of Bobby Slowick, you mentioned him. Let's talk through, if you don't mind, some of these Titans candidates,
Sure.
which they haven't officially asked for permission to talk with him, but I would imagine that is coming. 36 years old. You mentioned the time with Mike Shanahan and getting to know Kyle Shanahan, and then all of that time with the 49ers. What do you think about Bobby Slowick and what he was able to do with that Texans offense?
Yeah, and that was a fun offense to watch, and I think so much of that probably comes from his background with being with Kyle Shanahan, just like Mike McDaniel, and now with the Miami Dolphins, and I think that those guys understand the importance of offense and the importance of scheme, and the importance of your quarterback executing the scheme at the highest level possible. A lot of people don't realize that the execution of scheme, where the quarterback actually drops back and delivers the football, maybe it doesn't look to the casual fan like that's a difficult thing to do, but it's very difficult to do. More people are accustomed to thinking that when the quarterback leaves the pocket and runs around, that, man, that is just special stuff. And it is. No argument about that. But, executing the offense play after play after play at a really high level is also really difficult to do. And so someone like Bobby Slowick understands that. I mean, in a sense, what I said about CJ Stroud with the Texans totally applies to the Titans. While Will Levis was not a top 5 pick, for all intents and purposes, he is for the Titans. So everything going forward must be geared, including the hiring of the head coach, and staff must be geared to making Will Levis the absolute best player he can be, whatever that turns out to be. I think we know he's not going to be a bust. We don't know what beyond that. We don't know, but everything must be geared toward making him the absolute best he can be.
That's an interesting point. So it's good to know that there is a floor that we think that there is, right?
we think, yeah.
Well, I mean, look,
so you
I'm
don't
just
know
giving
what
you
the
my opinion
ceiling
based
could
on
be.
tape study, based on conversations I've had with people who, some who coached him in college. So, I don't think you're going to be looking at a bust. Now, again, that doesn't mean he's going to be a top 3 quarterback in the league or a top 5 quarterback or a top 12. We don't know the answer to that. But I think it was pretty evident, particularly given the handicaps he was working with. I mean, he played behind one of the 2 or 3 worst O-lines in the league. And, he hung in there and played and really did not play poorly. I mean, you can't really say he had a bad game where you went, oh, God, you really couldn't say that. So, he's clearly mentally tough and he's got physical traits. So you'd have to assume that with an improvement in talent, which again, we have to wait and see about that, and with a coach who understands the importance of him and the position, that he's only going to improve, not get worse.
And has an arm to go with it, which you've
Yeah,
said
he's got
from
physical
the get-go.
traits, no question.
So,
But
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was going to say, so the focus has to be on making Will Levis the best he can be. Otherwise, guys, in 3 years, we're going to be having the same conversation.
So along those lines, a lot of Titans fans are wanting an offensive-minded head coach, right? And I don't know if that necessarily matters, but that is what Titans fans are wanting. And along those lines, the name that has come up often is Ben Johnson, OC, obviously, for the Lions, and what he's done with Goff. Now, they actually had an offensive line, right, to play behind. So, but what is your take on him as a candidate?
Well, I love watching their offense. I mean, again, none of us know what the transition from being a coordinator to a head coach is, because being a head coach, you have to deal with the entire team. And then there's the human element involved in that, more so than if you're a coordinator. There's always a human element in everything, but a head coach has to deal with everybody. But their offense is really fun to watch. He's got a phenomenal innate understanding of spacing with route concepts, which by NFL standards makes it relatively easier for the quarterback to see and define the throws. Obviously, they've got a very good O-line. They've got a classically great quarterback for that style of offense in Goff. And Goff's not a runaround guy, but he's 6'4", with a big arm, can make every throw, is tough physically, will stand and deliver. But, he understands spacing. Spacing is a word you don't often hear in football, but I've said this many times over the last couple of years as I've learned more and more from people smarter than I. Anytime there's confined space, spacing is a really important concept. You hear about it far more in basketball because the court is smaller. You hear about it in hockey, like on power plays, spacing is critical. You guys know this. You have a hockey team in your town. But even football, it is confined space. It's just bigger confined space. So therefore, spacing of routes is so critical, and he's a master at that.
So along those lines, and this might be a weird question, but I'm just trying to let you explain it a little bit more when it comes to spacing. But when you watch what the Titans did offensively in spacing, is there an example? Do you know what I mean? Where you can say, okay, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of teams that the Titans, I don't think, quite fall into that category.
Right.
Because there's a lot of teams that believe, I think, and again, I don't know every coordinator and I don't have conversations with every coordinator. And sometimes when you watch film, you just know how things are done because it's there on the tape. But, a lot of teams believe in just creating one-on-ones for their receivers. Now, if you've got great receivers, that can work. And somewhere along the line, guys do have to win one-on-one, no matter how good your concepts are. We know that. But you don't want to live like that. You don't want to live that, hey, if it's every play's one-on-one, that's all we're trying to get done. So, I feel like when I watch tape, I can see what the Lions do. I can see what the Rams do. I can see what the Niners do. I see what the Packers are now doing because they do such a great job with the use of motion as well. The top 6 teams that deploy movement at the snap of the ball more than any other teams in the league. The top 6, they're all in the playoffs because motion gives you so much in terms of what it does for you offensively and what it does in terms of shrinking the defensive menu. So, there's certain things you can see on tape and you go, yeah, that's really, really good. And then you watch other teams, and even if they're pretty good, sometimes you feel like, they're good because, hey, you know what? They got some pretty good talent, and it can work sometimes.
Fascinating. Yep.
Cosell, are you impressed by what Aaron Glenn was able to do up with Detroit, or like is it? I'm twisted because I watched the Hard Knocks, and I don't know exactly what I'm seeing from Hard Knocks.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn's a fascinating guy. It's funny.
Okay.
A good friend of mine in coaching, when Aaron Glenn first got into coaching as a DB's coach, told Aaron Glenn he should reach out to me to talk. And I talked to Aaron Glenn, 8 or 9 years ago when he first got in, and he's a great guy. I love Aaron Glenn. I think that he's done. Let's put it this way. I think he has learned so much over the last couple of years because he wanted to play a certain way, but he didn't quite have the talent to do that because he wanted to be super aggressive and play man coverage. Okay. Because he was with the Saints. He learned from Dennis Allen. He wanted to be super aggressive. He doesn't have the corners for that, and he still doesn't. So he learned that, hey, I can't play like that. So now he's much more selective, and when he pressures, his pressures are really good, by the way, and he's much more selective in when he plays man. So I think you're watching a young coach really develop in a beautiful way, and I think he'll only get better and better. Now, I wouldn't say I know him well enough to know, personality wise, how he is as a, in terms of dealing with men. I don't know the answer to that. So I'm not going to presume that I do. But I think just in terms of the X's and O's and the tactical element, you can see that he is a thinker and a really smart guy.
Yeah, and it looked as if some of those times, like when he wanted to press and Dan Campbell called it on him, he was accepting of it. You know what I'm saying? But it's one thing to be in that role and be the head guy that's giving out the out the orders too. Like, how do you deliver your message?
And he just, I think he learned what he has talent. Slay, think of it in basketball. You can't come in and say, we're gonna build our offense around the 3-point shot if you don't have good outside shooters. At some point you have to understand that, hey, I like guys that I have. They can do certain things really well, but there's other things that we can't do because we don't have those guys. Yep. So I think he's learned that. Okay. And I know the way I do my work. I feel like I'm learning something new every day, and I feel like you have to. I feel like that's a good way to be. And I think coaches have to do that as well. Obviously, at some point you feel like, hey, this is what I really want to do, and I'd like to be able to do this, but you also have to have the players to be able to execute that.
Yep. Greg Cosell with us from NFL Films, talking about defensive coordinators. Ravens defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald, hot on the market, 36 years old. As you mentioned, with the Ravens since 2014, except for 2021 when he was the defensive coordinator at Michigan. So he's spent a lot of time with both Harbaugh brothers. Been the DC in Baltimore the last 2 seasons, has done a really, really good job, a hot name out there. What do you see there?
Brilliant tactician. Again, I don't know him at all. Brilliant tactician. I remember watching those Michigan teams when I did my draft work and seeing NFL pressure concepts, because you don't see a ton of NFL pressure concepts in college football. And I remember seeing that watching Michigan. And then I had to look. I didn't realize at the time, I had forgotten that he was the coordinator. And I looked up and said, oh, yeah, that's Mike Macdonald. No wonder why I'm seeing NFL pressure concepts. So I think he's brilliant at what he does. So again, that's the X and O part of it, and that's always important. Believe me, I'm not suggesting that's not important, but now you're getting into being a leader of men as well as, running a defense. I'm sure if he becomes a head coach, he'll run the defense. But the other part, none of us know that, but he's really, really good tactically with what he does on the defensive side of the ball.
All right, one more offensive mind real quick. Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, son of Bill Callahan, 5 seasons as OC with the Bengals. He will reportedly interview. What do you know about him?
Yeah. Obviously, Bill Callahan, I got to know Bill years and years ago when he was in Philly. This goes back probably close to 30 years now, because he was on Ray Rhodes' staff with actually John Gruden and Sean Payton. And I remember they came to NFL Films, and I gave those guys a tour back in like 1997. Oh my God. So that was a long time ago.
Tour guy.
But anyway, so I don't know a ton about Brian. I don't know if it's his offense. It's probably more Zach Taylor's offense. So I don't know that much about him. So now it gets down to, the same kind of thing like with a Bobby Slowick. Slowick came from San Francisco and has done an awesome job, in Houston this year. Obviously with the Bengals, I don't think they have a great O-line. I still don't think they have a great O-line. They lost, obviously Burrow late in the season. Burrow is a phenomenal quarterback, and he compensates and camouflages a lot of weaknesses in O-line play. So I don't know much about Brian Callahan, but he's been with good people. So now you get into, when you interview him, what's his plan? Who are his assistant coaches? That's one thing owners always want to know. And the people doing the interview always want to know not only your overall philosophy and plan, but who do you plan on bringing in as assistant coaches?
Yep.
Because it's the assistant coaches that really coach. And that becomes really critical when you hire a new staff.
Right. I always try to figure out the tentacles, right? Like, so who does Rand have history with? Like with Slowick,
Right.
for example.
Right.
He was
And
in
Ben
San
Johnson.
Francisco. Before
Ben
that, I think
Yep.
Rand wasn't he with the Rams when Fish
Yep.
was there.
Yes.
And then
Yeah, so,
Falcons for a long time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Coach Mack knows him well.
Who don't Mac know?
I was going to say.
That's true too. Yeah.
Well,
He's the
hey, I
the
really.
mayor of every city he's been in.
Right. He just says, "I'm out here doing Coach Mac things." That's what he
You're
says.
right. Exactly. Well, that's true. That's true. Yep.
Hey, really appreciate the conversation today. I think this was a beneficial direction for us to go with you today, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting going forward now because obviously, we'll see what names continue to pop up, and obviously we're a long ways from free agency and the draft, but we'll figure it out. We'll BS them for a while here. We'll get it done.
Cosell, this is going to be a fun draft and free agency for the Titans fans. We're excited.
Without question, it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I'll be down again. I think that might happen. So we'll see.
All right.
I love it. So
I've been looking forward to that.
when are you diving in on draft picks on tape?
Believe it or not, I'm going to start watching my first stuff tomorrow. I get in super early. It's just who I am, and I'm done this week. We shoot matchup tomorrow, but I'm ready to go on that. And tomorrow morning when I get in at 5:30, which is normally when I'm sitting at my desk, I'm going to start watching a college guy tomorrow morning. So
I love it.
Can't wait.
All right, so next week, Titans pick 7.
Yeah, I
Keep
mean,
that in
it'll
mind.
be like, obviously next week I got to do NFL stuff, but, now that there's less tape to watch because there's fewer games,
Yeah.
Later in the week I can start getting to college guys.
All right, Cosell, great stuff, man. Appreciate you.
All right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks.
There he is, Greg Cosell with NFL Films. Yeah, that NFL matchup show is a must. Saturdays at 7:30 in the morning is when I watch it. I think Babsy hits it at that point as well. When we come back, Mike McDaniel with some interesting things to say about Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, and Pete Carroll. That's next for HL 104.5 The Zone.
It's a beautiful day today, but cold is coming. And maybe you've realized with our last couple of cold spells that your windows are not doing their job and your doors are not doing their job. And there's nothing to do to fix them except for replace them. Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is who you need to call. They are the best for replacement windows and doors. And you might be surprised to learn how affordable those windows and doors are from Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville, especially right now, because they've got this sale going on with 50% off qualifying installations and no money down, no interest, no payments for 12 months. So Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville can take care of you, and now is a great time to call them and go ahead and schedule your free consultation, hear about their business, which is family run here in town, and hear about the warranties that they include on their products because they know they are the best. Schedule your free consultation. Call my friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Check out that limited time special offer. Go online, PellaNashville.com.
3HL 104.5 The Zone.
First of all, Hunk is jamming.
Second of all,
That's in Mac with 2 protections.
why in the world do you have to bring peanut butter M&Ms into this thing?
In this world, I don't know who brought them in the world, but I'm helping. Like these are amazing candies.
It's the best. It is the best candy.
There's so much good mixture
all
in
these stupid Halloween debates, like that's the best one.
They
right
actually
there.
named those wrong. Those aren't peanut butter M&Ms. That's called crack.
this is true.
How do you know?
Because I love peanut butter M&Ms, and I can imagine that it is addictive as crack.
You know what? I gotta go buy some. I ain't bought none in a long time. The big jugs. I gotta go to Sam's.
you don't.
Hunk can eat them,
Yeah, but then I'll eat them.
but I'll put them in there. That means you gotta go in there.
Oh,
Yeah, which I will.
Hunk got a lock on that door.
I only have 2. I only took 2. I'm proud of myself.
Well, there's a couple more left.
Nope, eat them. I want them gone.
Nope, I'm gonna pull them out.
I just happened to see that little bag sitting over there. You got this Kroger bag.
Yeah, that's the good stuff in there for your body.
It's not Kentucky week. It's a Kroger bag.
Yeah, that's Believe me, it won't be around when that's that week.
You can put the jug in your car in the truck in case we
You
get
go
stuck.
off the road.
We get stuck coming to work on Monday.
There you
And
go.
On the
can
road.
sit and eat peanut butter M&Ms.
Yeah. Like I watched a movie today.
With your water
now.
and bread.
I watched a movie today about
And
an
eggs.
airplane that went down in the Andes Mountains in 1972.
Jeez.
What are you doing?
It's on Netflix. It just came out.
Yes.
Oh, job.
Dude, it was incredible. This story, there were 45 people when it started, when the plane went down.
Is this when they ate each other?
Yes.
Hey, come on, y'all.
That's one of them, yes.
That's
Yeah.
alive. That's called
the one from
alive.
the
I read
90s,
about
it's the same
that. Passed
story.
on that one.
Yeah,
It's the same story.
I hated this story.
It's like the Donner Party.
Ah!
Hey, man, they said, like, you got to do what you got to do. So what I'm saying is, if we get stuck on Franklin Road on Monday and nobody's going around, we'll have that big jug of peanut butter M&Ms so we won't have to eat each other.
Wow, he just went straight Donner Party. Just right.
That's what I'm saying.
We just had an accident.
I just watched this movie today.
Slade, give me the leg.
They have one
Thigh
guy.
the calf.
They have one guy that was in charge of like preparing the food.
Bodies?
Yeah. So no one had to see it. No one had to. Just the one guy
You
saw it.
can't prepare nobody.
I mean, listen, they're in the Andes Mountains, dude,
Well,
for 72 days.
who told them to go up there? Where were they going?
They were going to Chile. They were going to play rugby.
Come on, dog.
It was a rugby team.
Come on.
Man. I'm going to pass on that one.
I'm with you, Babsy.
That movie was like 2 hours and 30 minutes long, too, man. It was an investment.
Dog, can you? Ugh. Ooh.
Would you rather?
Did they heat it up?
I don't know.
Ew, how are they going to heat it up?
That's what I'm saying. So how you going to eat it, period? You
I think
can't
I-
eat it just cold?
You saute it and you
Oh.
put some spicing on it.
No,
In
they
the
didn't-
Andes Mountains?
Listen, they didn't spend a lot of time on that, on like the preparation of the. Anyway,
You're a dark guy. And dude in there, too.
what I'm
Emerald
saying is,
wasn't on the plane.
you can help us by buying that big jug of peanut butter M&Ms, so we'll all be okay on Franklin Road when we go in the ditch.
You had to go through that to
No,
get to that.
y'all will be okay.
No, we're coming to get you.
Nope,
We're
I ain't
traveling
there.
as a group, baby. Traveling as a group.
What's funny is like if you go in the ditch, I'm going in the ditch. We're teammates.
Yeah, we all in this together. Sitting in the ditch.
Except for last time we did this, I was gone. Like I looked in my rear view, I
left us.
couldn't find you.
I know, and I was going to call you, but I had to focus on not running off the road. Instead, I called Slay and was like, "What is he doing?"
Yeah, I told him that. I just told him that.
Listen,
Babsy called me like 3 times.
Yeah.
He's not, no, we're on ice.
yeah, but
And not in those words.
you don't have problems with the ice until you turn the wheel. So don't turn the wheel. Franklin Road's a straight road, dude. Tony in Nashville next up on 3HL. Tony, what's up?
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Thank y'all. You make my days brighter every day.
I don't know that did it,
Appreciate
but okay, thank you.
Anyway, I was born in 1958, which is the year Bear Bryant started coaching at Alabama.
Okay.
He was there until 82, year before I got married. So I grew up with Bear Bryant as coach. Now I've lived through Nick Saban being coach. You can't tell me of another university fan anywhere in the world has been more blessed than an Alabama fan that's lived through both of those coaches.
No doubt. And that success.
And
They're going to
I've
get
got
a
a
good
Bear
one
Bryant
this time
story.
around, too. But, I mean, yeah, those are the two best. So,
yeah,
I mean,
you got,
6
yeah,
titles in
would you
12
want to
years.
follow? Would you want to follow Nick?
No, hell no. You follow the guy that followed the guy.
That's right. I got a Bear Bryant story for you. So I'm a kid. I got an uncle who's a great Bama fan. I'm growing up and went to a Bama game with him. We watched the game. A guy got hurt. I can't remember who it was. I was little. And the physical trainers all around him. Coach went out, leaned over in the huddle. Boy jumped up and ran off. My uncle elbowed. Said, "You see that? Bear went out there and healed that boy."
Yep.
I love it. Thank you, Tony.
Oh, it's a different
Thank you.
era now.
All right,
huh?
see you, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
He's
an
right, though.
embarrassment of riches. Those
So
two.
let me ask you this, just real quick, on our way out from this segment.
We'll try to get Mike McDaniel in here if Hunk will let me.
Okay, go ahead. We'll hit the Alabama hire next because now the plane tracking is happening. But
Yeah, well, you
hit
can
that
do it with
next.
Todd Furman because we're going to talk with him about that. Mike McDaniel talks about Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, and Pete Carroll. Check it.
I'm more kind of taken aback by that in conjunction with Coach Saban and Pete Carroll. They have as much responsibility to what the game is right now as anybody that's around. I have so much respect and regard for being able to do what they've done for that amount of time. I have a very close firsthand experience on what the sacrifice it takes to do this job. That it is a sacrifice, such a blessing, such an opportunity, but you really have to pour yourself into it. And when you do that for a quarter century, I can't say enough positive words about Coach Belichick, and I love Coach Carroll and Nick Saban in there because it feels the same way. It's just kind of like it's a reminder to me that I'm just gonna be candid that Father Time's a really not a nice guy.
Rhymes with Wick.
yeah,
Yeah, John Wick.
that guy's funny,
He is. He also sounded high, did he not?
but he always does.
His story is absolutely fantastic. They went through it this week on Hard Knocks.
Yes.
Oh, such a fantastic
Oh,
story.
about he had an issue with drinking.
I
and
know. I
all
shouldn't
of
have said that joke,
No, it's fine.
but it sounded like it.
No, his story is amazing. Yeah.
He also interviewed
So
with the
insightful.
Titans. He interviewed with the Titans, or he was supposed to interview with the Titans. He thought he was going to get the job, and then they canceled the interview.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard he's a weird dude, but that he is a genius.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Todd Furman coming up next, and we'll talk about who's the next Bama coach, odds on the next Titans coach, and we'll hit the NFL playoffs coming up this weekend. Todd Furman next on 104.5 The Zone.
All right, Nashville Predators. It's going to be a fun day on Saturday before the weather rolls in, January 13th. Go experience Smashville. They take on the Islanders at 7 o'clock at Bridgestone. Big Saturday night in Smashville. It's Hockey's for Everyone night, a celebration of the diversity here and in hockey. And the NHL's United by Hockey Mobile Museum will be on the plaza for fans to enjoy before the game. What is that? Well, it's a traveling museum. It's a free fan experience. It celebrates hockey's trailblazers and changemakers and business leaders spanning various demographics. Really cool thing they got going on. Get your tickets for a night in Smashville. Yes, Saturday night against the Islanders, 7 o'clock, NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Go Preds.
Good evening from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Joe Hunk. Earlier today, Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft met with the media. In fact, Robert Kraft met with the media twice for some reason. Second time around, he was talking about the reasons why he let go of Bill Belichick. But the first time, he acknowledged the fact that even though Bill Belichick is stepping down from being a head coach, that he expects him to be on the sidelines next season.
I thank Coach Bill for his hard work and dedication. It'll be difficult to see him in a cutoff hoodie on the sideline, but I will always continue to wish him continued success, except when he's playing our beloved Patriots.
Could the Titans draft Marvin Harrison Jr.? Well, if he's available at 7, possibility is that they could, because he has just announced that he is declaring for the 2024 NFL draft, making that official. But Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers says he's returning for his senior year. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at What's on your home for the Vols, flagship station for your Tennessee Titans, as well as home to 3HL. This is 104.5 The Zone.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Britt Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay with you on a beautiful evening in the Music City. The snowpocalypse is coming. That's what they tell us. I don't know what that means.
On the way.
Man, my kid's out tomorrow.
What?
Yes.
Already?
They just sent out a message. He said, sorry for the late notice, but we're closing on the 12th.
Oh, it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
It's snowing behind me.
What? It's going to be like 45 degrees tomorrow. What
And
are
raining.
we doing?
I think it's just an extra day to mourn Nick Saban.
Todd Furman joins us now from Las Vegas.
Live in Bama.
Todd, we got a big snowstorm coming is what they're telling us. You got anything like that out there in Vegas?
I mean, we did get a snowstorm out here. Not significant accumulation, but I woke up. There was a light dusting of snow in the backyard. Thankfully, city was not incapacitated. School has not been canceled, and it has since melted over the last handful of hours.
Wow, so that's what's coming here.
Yeah.
Dude, if Vegas is getting it, look the hell out.
Yeah, that means.
Yeah, I was going to say, we get a dusting here. You guys get about 13 feet. So I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Hopefully those sportsbook accounts are fully loaded. You got a couple of nice bottles of brown liquor you can tap into and enjoy a good old-fashioned weekend of 6 football games starting Saturday afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get into that, Todd, who's going to be the Titans coach?
It's a great question, and I'm not sure the Titans know at this point. You would think after parting ways with Mike Vrabel, wanting to go in a different direction, they had a couple of candidates in mind that they wanted to try and move to the top of the list, but I unfortunately have not heard any rumblings or names attached to that particular job. One name that we talked about a little bit that I know the Titans, I think, had requested an interview. If they decide to go with another defensive mind in Aaron Glenn, I would think that would probably be a misstep, to say the least. You would hope that if you're parting ways with a defensive mentality, that you want to go with an offensive-minded head coach, knowing that you're going to have to figure out who the quarterback of the future is and kind of build around that individual, whether they're on the roster or someone to look to acquire via draft or trade in the coming season.
Yeah, don't they always go opposite hire?
Generally speaking, I mean, that or you go from a player's coach to a disciplinarian just to kind of shake things up in the room and really get everybody's attention. I know the NFL is a little bit different than the NHL, where some of the lifespan of these head coaches is significantly shorter and you get that new coach bump. You just want to make sure that you're bringing in a guy to either work with the existing personnel or someone that at least can offer up a plan to try and get the organization where they want to go. And in the case of the Titans, it's a much different storyline right now as we sit here in 2024 than it would have been 3 or 4 years ago, while 3 teams in the division, at least in theory, have identified their quarterbacks of the future in C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and we'll see what the Jags do with Trevor Lawrence, but it puts the Titans a little bit behind the 8 ball.
What about Alabama?
Alabama, I mean, if I had to set odds, and I know there's some circulating out there, I was actually surprised that Dan Lanning opened up as a favorite in that market. I would have stayed in the Pacific Northwest, but gone with the man we saw coach potentially his final game on Monday night in Coach Kalen DeBoer. When you look at the resources that Dan Lanning has at his disposal in Eugene, having the Nike money, a new conference affiliation in the Big Ten, and essentially installing his culture the right way, I think Oregon is set up for a long-term amount of success and one of the more recognizable brands in a high-profile conference. Washington, I don't get the feeling that they have that level of stability that's consistent. You can move on knowing that you're going to have a different quarterback under center with Michael Penix taking his show to the next level. And as much as Kalen DeBoer could be married to transfer Will Rogers, look, if you have an opportunity to go to Alabama, even if you're going to be the guy following the guy, I think it's too good an opportunity to try and pass up. So that's who I would make the favorite. And the longer this coaching search drags on, I think it's a real problem for Alabama because you'll have more players decommit. And I'm sure there are plenty of programs in the SEC and elsewhere that would love to get their fingers on a couple of those guys and bring them to their campus knowing that Nick Saban won't be in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Dawn hit on this yesterday. There's a 30-day portal window extension for players that play for a team where the coach leaves. So
yeah, and let me tell you, I'm sure there's one person in that studio right now. Actually, we'll go all three of you, but I would say that Dawn that probably has no sympathy whatsoever for Alabama needing to go in a different direction. I'm sure, Brent, you and Slay right behind Dawn, but given the strides that Auburn has made on the recruiting trail and everything they're doing, I mean, this gives them a shot of jet fuel to try and get the program back to a level of respectability.
Let's go.
I love it. Hey, let's jump into these NFL games coming up this weekend. Browns at Texans.
Yeah.
Browns a 2-point favorite now on the road. What do you think?
Game's been back and forth. The number did get as high as 3, and you immediately saw money come in on the Houston Texans. Earlier today, the 2.5 kind of disappeared from the market as well, with news that Denzel Ward gets nicked up in Thursday practice. That could potentially be a massive loss for the Browns if their top cover corner is unable to go, knowing that C.J. Stroud is going to test that secondary early and often. You look at these two teams, they played in Week 16, very different circumstances then, knowing that it was Davis Mills and Case Keenum instead of C.J. Stroud. Joe Flacco, tremendous amount of success targeting Amari Cooper, who went for 260-plus receiving yards. Jonathan Grenard said he's going to return, which will help the pass rush for the Texans. But if it's anything like what we saw out of Will Anderson each of the last 2 weeks, a shell of himself dealing with a lower body injury, I still think the Browns have enough to get the job done because I think defensively the scheme they play with a lot of cover one and man coverage is where C.J. Stroud has struggled this season. But you never want to discount the more talented quarterback of the two, even if he doesn't have the same postseason pedigree.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud, number 1 in the NFL against zone. Number 27 against man. Cleveland, number 1 in the NFL in terms of man defense. So right there with you on that one.
Yep, definitely a dynamic that you want to try and factor in. The one good thing about this game is that we're not going to have to worry about the elements unless there's a hole in the roof at NRG Stadium. So we will get true playing conditions of sorts.
Yeah, there was.
I know, compared to what we're going to get elsewhere.
So, speaking of that, looking at the Dolphins, Chiefs, I think Chiefs 4.5, maybe point favorite here. How much do you take into account the weather in this one?
I think it plays a role, but the question is how big a role and how do you try and quantify the overall impact in terms of which team gets market advantage as a result. I know the narrative leading up to kickoff Saturday night at Frigid Arrowhead will be all about the Dolphins and their long losing streak in sub 40-degree temperatures. I can take things one step further when it comes to Tua when you look at his win-loss record in inclement weather, and I use that term in quotations, given the fact that Tua in his career in games played under 70 degrees, not 7, is just 6-13, 23-4 when the mercury is 70 degrees or greater in that regard. But this is still a Chiefs offense that has to answer a lot of questions, even against the Dolphins defense that feels like it's down 37 key contributors. Number from 3 out to 4.5. I think the ship has sailed if you want to lay points with the Chiefs, maybe explore the first half. But I do think you could see some under money come in if Jalen Waddle or Raheem Mostert is limited and or ruled out for this contest.
Do the Lions get some get back?
Look, they've waited a long time, Slay, in the Motor City to get a home playoff game, and more importantly for the much-maligned Detroit Lions franchise, not just to get a home playoff game, but to get a playoff win, which would be their first since they beat the Cowboys way back in 1991. When we look at Matthew Stafford against Jared Goff, we know that is going to be the storyline that everyone will be following. It's the first time a quarterback faces his former team in the playoffs since Peyton Manning lost to the Colts in the 2014 divisional round. Matthew Stafford, I know Lions fans said they're not going to give him a warm welcome. Look, he got what he wanted out of the deal. He got a Super Bowl, so the Lions fans may be a little bit unhappy about all that. But when you look at this Rams team, much more dynamic, of course, when they have Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams out there from a yards per play standpoint, points per game, and all of the other metrics. But I think the Lions are getting a little bit discounted. We've seen money come in on the road underdog, 3.5 4s cleared out in favor of a 3. If the number were to move further, I think you'll see a small appetite to back the Lions here and could see a path to this game not exceeding odds makers' expectations with the total if it is the Lions playing with a lead, knowing that they may want to run the football, shorten the game, and try and neutralize some of the pass rushing ability and talent from Aaron Donald and his cast of rookie pass rushers.
Steelers at Bills. That's a tall order. 10-point spread in a playoff game. High temperature 26. The problem, Furman, and I don't know. I haven't looked what the over/under is as of right now, but the winds 20 to 30 mile an hour, gusts up to 50.
And that's the big reason why the total that opened as high as 43 on Sunday has been bet down more than a touchdown into that 35.5 range. Wow. Yeah, we haven't seen much movement on the side, although I do anticipate you're going to see some money coming on the underdog, taking the 10s out of the market in favor of a 9.5, just knowing if the weather is as bad as advertised, makes it tougher to win by a margin, especially one like this, even if the Bills are better suited to move the football against the Steelers defense than Pittsburgh running against this Buffalo defensive front that's getting a little bit healthier. Going to want to monitor the weather forecast here. If the winds aren't as bad as advertised, I think there's an avenue for this game to go over the total, with Buffalo doing a lion's share of the heavy lifting. But we won't know closer to kickoff. Lake effect, snow, wind, and everything else that plays a role. Always prominent, so you're going to want to watch your telecast Sunday morning. But I can only imagine if you get a whole lot of snow accumulation, that may be a party that resembles Woodstock in the tailgate lots in Western New York if people feel like they're snowed in and want to try and get there at about 2 o'clock in the morning to start with their adult beverage intake.
They will.
Never. Can't believe it.
Yeah.
Nope, not happening.
All right, Packers and Cowboys. Last I saw, this number was 7, but I mean, Mike McCarthy has to win, right?
I do think Mike McCarthy has to win, Don. If he doesn't, he may find himself looking for work. I know it's a storyline that people want to talk about, but I think somewhere along the way, rubber has to meet the road, and the Cowboys need to win not one, but maybe multiple playoff games with the talent that they have there. The only team that they shouldn't be better than in the NFC on paper is the 49ers, and they wouldn't meet them until the NFC Championship, a game that I'm sure Cowboys fans have been itching to get back to since the mid-'90s. The 7.5s that were out there gobbled up. So you've seen some underdog money come in on Green Bay. The Packers offense has been clicking over the last 8 weeks, where they've gone 6-2. Jordan Love cutting down on interceptions with an 18-1 touchdown interception ratio. Aaron Jones, the lion's share of the carries in the backfield, with A.J. Dillon nicked up. Green Bay defensively should be healthier, although you do wonder about Jair Alexander's availability. Sprained his ankle apparently today in what the team was calling a jog-through more than anything else. Good to know he doesn't do that en route to the coin toss, which got him suspended earlier this season. But I can see Green Bay being a little bit of a live underdog. Haven't gotten there myself, but for those folks who keep track of what the house will be rooting for, have been told that if the Dallas Cowboys lose outright, it'll be the best outcome for the sports books, knowing that a lot of money line, parlays, and teasers will go into the 7-point favorite Sunday afternoon.
Which makes tons of sense. Man, just watching Dallas at home all year, though, that's tough to erase.
They have been an absolute juggernaut, and the thing is, they are the consummate bully, that if Dallas can get ahead, that's where Mike McCarthy feels a lot more comfortable calling plays. But we do have a couple of recent illustrations where the Cowboys were in 4-quarter fights, and you can see them clam up a little bit. The Saturday night regular season home finale against the Lions, that they were fortunate to get the outright win. And then, of course, the Thursday night game against the Seattle Seahawks, where they were in for a 4-quarter fight. So always interesting when you get a team that didn't expect to be here before the season, playing with a bit of house money, and the youngest roster we've seen in the playoffs since the 1974 Bills and the Packers. So let's see Jordan Love on a big stage. I know Green Bay Packers fans were skeptical early in the year, but have to be a lot more optimistic that they found their heir apparent to Brett Favre and, of course, Aaron Rodgers after him.
Incredibly interesting matchup on Monday. Todd Furman with us, Bet the Board podcast. The NFL pod is out, and they have a best bet involved in that. So check them out when you're not listening to us. Interesting matchup, as I mentioned, Philadelphia at Tampa. And the Eagles are a 3-point favorite on the road. Philly, through 11 games, 10-1. Tampa, 4-7. So the Eagles lost 5 out of their last 6. Tampa won 5 out of their last 6. How do you handle this one?
If you believe in current form, this number is an overlay for the Philadelphia Eagles as a full field goal favorite. If you look at a full body of work, and if these two teams play their A game, then you're buying stock at the bottom of the market for Philadelphia. And that's what makes this game so fascinating, and why we've seen a true difference of opinion in the betting market, where this opened with the Eagles a 1.5-point favorite, and when it's gotten to a field goal, there has been interest in the underdog here. You mentioned Philly and the way that they've limped to the finish. I mean, Eagles fans thought people were nuts and saying they were overreacting. Oh, This team showed resilience. Well, good teams don't typically need to erase second-half deficits, especially of the double-digit variety. Eventually, that catches up to you, and when you look at Philly and what they've done defensively, these numbers surprised even me when we broke it down for the Bet the Board podcast. The last 6 games, Philadelphia 31st in points per game allowed, 30th in yards per game allowed, 30th in yards per play, 30th in red zone touchdown percentage. Since December 2nd, they've allowed the second most points per game at 30.3, and they finished 30th in scoring defense at 25.2 points per game allowed. No team has allowed that many points per game and won a Super Bowl, and the most has been the Giants in 2011, gave up 25 per contest. But Tampa's banged up, and I think that works in Philly's favor a bit. But Philly, no stranger to injuries, and I think that all signs point to an angle that, to your point, Brent, you mentioned, where we went with our best bet on this week's edition of the Bet the Board podcast.
Yeah, so listen to the pod to get that best bet.
Baker going to light up the Christmas tree?
What was that, Slay? I missed that.
Is Baker Mayfield going to light it up?
Look, Baker Mayfield looked like he was closer to needing crutches to get out of the stadium last week in Charlotte with the beating and battering he took at the hands of the Carolina Panthers. What is interesting when you look at Todd Bowles and the way this offense has operated, we know Todd Bowles wants to try and run the football, and I think they're going to lean on Rachaad White. Early on, if that doesn't pay dividends, how quickly does he take the governor off and let Baker chuck it around? But if Philly comes in banged up with A.J. Brown missing practice today, Devontae Smith, keep in mind this is essentially the Wednesday practice of the week, so you're going to want to pay more attention tomorrow and Saturday. But there are some question marks that both these teams have to answer, maybe most notably the hand injury to Jalen Hurts that had him sidelined for the second half after that anemic offensive performance the first 30 minutes against the Giants.
Again, check out the Bet the Board podcast with Todd Furman and Payne Insider. By the way, Payne's line about Matt Patricia, gold.
There's no love lost there. I don't know what kind of history those two may have with each other, unbeknownst to me, but there is no love lost there. And Payne is never one to hold back in terms of how he feels about certain coaches in various positions that are out there. I just hope for the sake of Titans fans that the man that was formerly patrolling the sidelines for the Atlanta Falcons is not on the short list to be the head coach in Nashville, because they won't like the things that we have to say about the Titans and game management going forward.
Okay.
Already, Todd.
He better not be.
Hey, real quick on the way out, you got any NHL games tonight that you like?
A number of these games have moved a decent amount, so if I'm looking for a number that's still in range as I go through the board right now, I think a total north of the border in Quebec between San Jose and Montreal. San Jose on an epic losing streak. I'm not going to lay the price with a bad team in Montreal, but you do get their best netminder in Samuel Montembeault out there. I think we're talking about goals being at a premium, so nothing more enjoyable than spending your Thursday night hoping that nothing happens in a hockey game between the Canadiens and Sharks. I'll go under the total at 6.
I hate unders.
Unders.
I do it in hockey all the time.
You don't watch them. You check the score every 20, 25 minutes.
I know. Yeah.
And you hope at the end of the game it's tied, because the last thing you want is a 3-goal margin turn into empty netter palooza over the last handful of minutes it's out
I do
there.
that with a lot of my bets.
And unfortunately, I don't have a strong opinion on the return matchup for Nashville against Dallas tomorrow with the Stars, $1.80 favorite. I do have some concerns, though, about Juice and some of his struggles so far this season. So we'll see if they give him a little bit of rest coming up and give Kevin Lankinen a few more starts.
Bonus time with Todd. Thank you, Todd. Good stuff.
Always a pleasure. Best of luck with all your investments this weekend, guys and girls.
All right. At Todd Furman on Twitter. And seriously, the Bet the Board podcast, they break the games down. And not even if you're interested in betting, the way that they break them down will fully have you ready to watch these games from an educational standpoint. More 3HL next on 104.5 The Zone.
Loan Pronto is helping everybody take advantage of fixed rates with APRs in the 5s. Those mortgage rates have come down, and maybe you got stuck with a bad rate last year. Loan Pronto can help you switch it out for a much better payment right now. They do it fast. They can do it most of the time with no appraisal and no costs, no extra closing costs. Lower your payment now. Buying a new home, now that rates have come down, Loan Pronto will beat anyone else's rate for you with the no closing costs. Or Maybe you just need cash out to pay off credit cards from the holidays. Loan Pronto can get you hooked up with an Express Equity line at a great rate and keep your main mortgage intact. You can get $50,000 to $100,000 out of your home's equity in 5 days. Use the money, get credit card debt free for 2024. Don't wait for those rates to go back up. Loan Pronto, the place to call. LoanPronto.com at 615-499-5780. That's 499-5780 for Loan Pronto. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
3HL 104.5 The Zone. Brett Doherty, Don Davenport, Ron Slay.
Look what I'll come back playing. Look into my
What? I can't help that y'all were talking about cannibalism.
Slay wanted to dive in again.
I did not want to die.
What's the name of that movie? It just got added to Netflix. It's about an airplane that went down in the Andes Mountains with a rugby team in it. There were like 45 people on board, and they
ate each other.
Yeah, they had to try to survive, man. I mean, it was like 72 days.
Society of the Snow.
Society of the Snow. So they got a radio to work. Check this out. They're all hoping for, and they would hear planes come by, and they just didn't see them because the plane that they were in was white against the snow, and like I don't know. But they got a radio to work. So after a period of time, they heard on the radio that their
plane went down.
No, the search is off until spring.
Oh, you ain't got a chance. Oh, you like? Well, see, in that case, I'm just gonna go fight a bear.
Well, there weren't any bears.
Well,
they were
because it was so cold.
Polar bears.
Those are in Antarctica.
Well, they need to be over there. Somebody got to survive.
You ever been to Chile?
Yes, I actually have. I played in.
Have you?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where they were going.
Yeah, hey,
it didn't work.
Yeah,
it's a tough break.
It's a weird place down there.
Y'all watch the movie. I won't spoil it.
Are you? Well, you already done it.
No, I mean I gave you the big picture. I mean, honestly, if you think about plane goes down in the Andy Mountains.
See, listen at you.
You're gonna know that things
are
going to come up.
You don't want to get into it, but then think about. That means
think about it.
Think about it. And Hunk plays look into my eyes.
What's the next story?
It's going to connect. Picked that song 30 minutes ago.
Whatever. Who's the next coach at Alabama? What about Chris Lowe bringing up D'Amico Ryans?
D'Amico Ryans and Mike Loxley.
Yeah.
That one was surprising too.
At Maryland, Tommy Rees. Who else did he mention? DeBoer. And Todd Furman went straight in on DeBoer out at Washington. I love that dude.
How many people go
$20 million buyout?
Yeah.
That's Dan Lanning, right?
Oh, yeah, that's...
Yeah, Lanning in Oregon.
What is... Oh, DeBoer's 12 mil.
It's nothing.
Do you take that? No, it's not. Do you take that job if Saban can't tutor me for 2 years? Do you take that job?
I mean, he's got an office in the building.
We were talking about
this morning.
We were talking about this yesterday. And I want to get your perspective on this because, like, I think there are several, things that come across the show or whatever where I'll say words to live by. One of those things is don't be the guy that follows the guy. Be the guy that follows the guy that follows the guy. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be the bridge.
But those guys don't think like that.
No, they can't.
Their ego is so through the roof and their confidence level in self is so high that they don't think like that, do they?
No, it's why they're successful, right?
Yeah.
Well, because I look at that job, though. Everything's in place. You have every resource you could ever want. NIL money, you name it, boosters. I mean, everything is there. Facilities, top to bottom. There's zero excuse.
That's the problem.
Everything's there.
That's the problem.
Wouldn't you want to walk into that job? Because most of the time, if you're a successful head coach, it's hard to find a job left in this position to step into. All of these jobs you're going to have to. I mean, look at Mike Norvell at FSU. He had to walk in and clean up an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And he did. But there's not a lot of jobs you walk into that are set up for success like this.
Very true. But it's successful by the person
well, yeah.
that was the successor. Like, I need to. In order for me to be the successor, I need to be with the successful one. Like you got to give me. I need 6 months with him. I need 6 months with because it ran this certain way and it was successful because of the way he ran it. Like, don't get me to come in trouble in the waters and I don't treat somebody the way that they're used to be treated. Like imagine how many people are employed because of Saban. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And how many people are used to a way it's ran for 17 years at a championship level. And I come in and all of a sudden my communication is broke down in this department. And over here, I may not communicate with them as much. So it's,
yeah, but
man,
you can't,
a little
walk
crack,
in and be like him.
You can't. Now you can't be like him. But
especially nowadays.
Yeah, but you didn't even get no crash crash course test. They just
Say-
gave you the car.
Saban will be around.
Yeah.
Or the airplane that crashed in the Andes.
See? Man, you can't eat nobody at Alabama. Tell you. Now, that's some good meat down there. This is what you got to know. Saban will be around, Babsy, true. Will he be around?
Yes.
Or will he just be walking around?
I don't know if he will.
See, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
it depends on
I
if the
think
new guy really wants that, too. How much do you
That's
want
the part,
it?
too.
Okay, yes, if there's a discussion like that. But I think that he would internalize that. Like, me as a coach, would I want me around? Or would I want to lead my own program? And I think he'll stay away. I really do. I think he'll go do his stuff.
If I take over the Lady Vols program, do I want Pat Summitt around rest or so? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You take over Florida, do you want Spurrier around?
No, give me Billy Donovan.
You would take Billy Donovan.
Yeah, I ain't
right?
taking Spurrier. Spurrier, you really want to coach.
Right.
Yeah, that ain't
There's
now.
different
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, he
situations.
really want to coach. Give me a tutor.
But
well,
can you
know
actually
what I do want? I want Saban's full support of me as the head coach
for sure
this
that
fan base.
But can you move into the future with Nick Saban still standing there?
No, ain't nobody got to know. I need to be able to go to that lake house, though, and get on the back porch where there ain't no cameras. Hey, man, listen, dog.
Take a bath in the lake.
Hey, wear your soap. Hell yeah. Like, I need to know. That 17 years, that man had 16 losses. Is y'all listening to me?
Mm-hmm.
16 losses. And you want me to go take this job? Yeah. He got out for a reason, honestly. So I need a little bit of heels.
Let me
I
ask
need
you
a
this
little bit
part
what
of
I'm
it.
bringing.
Dawn brought this up the other day, or yesterday, and I'm glad she did. I'm glad you found this. The portal reopens for 30 days for Bama players. What do you think their phones have been doing the last day and a half?
Man, as soon as Chris Lowe put it out.
I saw Shedeur Sanders said Bama players tap in.
Tap in.
Already tweeting it.
And that's the thing, you're getting it from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches ain't even got to do no work. The players working for them.
Right. Tap in.
Man, that's what I'm saying.
615-737-1045 is the number. Buffalo and
College
Westmoreland.
sports.
Buffalo, what's up?
Don't be the guy that follows the guy. Get out of here with that stuff, Mayor. I mean, look at the couch potato that's going to play in the playoffs for Cleveland. He was a couch potato. He was making TikTok videos. Don't be the guy. Hey, what about
He
Jordan
wasn't the
Love?
guy that followed the guy, though.
No.
It's
He
never-
was like
it's-
fourth on the damn list.
And there's never been a guy.
Yeah.
Jordan Love is the guy that followed the guy that followed the guy. Jordan Love, get out of here with your.
He is the guy that followed the guy.
Yeah,
Guess what?
those-
Dallas is going to beat them, but that's okay.
No, they're not. No, they're not. Green Bay is going to get beat by the 49ers. That's tradition.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, get her done, y'all. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Hey, I
Yeah, like
love
it, get
Holly
her done.
Warlick, but how difficult was that on her to
Right.
follow Pat Summitt?
Yep.
Like,
For
I don't
many
even,
reasons.
I don't even know where Holly is. God love her, and I love her.
Mm-hmm. Holly's a good coach, too.
Yeah.
It don't always work out.
Sometimes it's hard to follow the guy that followed the guy that followed the guy.
That's what I'm telling you. Now you speaking my language.
I don't know, but I would look at it as
Lot of chips.
I am set up for success here.
But at the end of that, you said, so there is no excuses.
Yep.
Hey, Todd brought up something interesting. What if Dallas does lose to Green Bay and Mike McCarthy does get fired?
Mr. Babs brought this up this
Does
morning.
Jerry
when we were
Jones make a
talking.
quick phone call to Nick Saban? Or is that where Jim Harbaugh lands?
Jim Harbaugh might be able to handle it.
Because Jerry
Could
Jones.
you see the Jerry Jones,
No.
Jim Harbaugh
Oh, my
debacle?
That's showtime.
Please.
That's showtime, boy.
There
Please
is
let that happen.
no
Oh,
way
that's
that would
showtime.
work. There's no way that would work.
That's
my
lights,
gosh.
camera, action.
Oh, that would be
But
would be
You
glorious.
think they covered now?
Yeah, well, I mean, Jerry wants to bring in somebody he can control. But
that ain't
that
Harbaugh.
Yeah.
That ain't him. And that ain't Nick
And
either.
that's what I was going to say. They ain't saving either.
It's one of these other guys that everybody's talking to.
Oof.
Mike Kafka. Watch Dallas bring in Mike Kafka.
Stellar offense.
Right. That's such a it's weird to me.
Jerry Jones never fires anybody though. Like it's weird.
All right, just keep on.
As long as he has control.
Yeah.
Who was it? Jason Garrett. Every year, everybody was like, "Man, fire that guy."
No.
I think the last person he fired, he actually just put into the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Jimmy Johnson.
He should have never fired that guy.
Yeah. But power struggle.
Yeah.
Players wanted to listen to him instead of him.
Him instead of him.
Yeah. The hymns.
So be the guy that followed the guy that followed the guy that followed the guy. And sometimes that doesn't work. Is that where we are?
Well, you don't want to get it to a point where you're Tennessee and then you have 15 dismal
there's a lot of
football seasons.
Yeah,
you don't want that.
Heupel was the guy that followed the guy that followed the guy that followed the guy
that
followed the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now, there.
I mean, same thing.
Now they won 20 games in 2 years.
Bama know what it's like.
Yeah,
All
they
the
do.
mics. Somebody called in yesterday. He's like, I was there for all the mics.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
they
Titans
know.
fans are kind of saying that too. Please don't hire a Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Shula, Mike Price, where are those guys?
Yeah.
That's why this search is so important.
Mike Mularkey, Mike Munchak, Mike Vrabel.
There's a lot of mics out there.
I will say, if I get to walk in there with your staff is, you give me an all-star staff, I'm ready to roll.
Like Coach Prime at Bama. Why not?
He'll go get an all-star staff.
We'll talk about a man that would keep the train rolling.
Lord have mercy.
In a totally different way.
I mean, in your face rolling.
Totally different
And it's
way.
already in your face. He's just going to shine it up.
Right. Yeah, but Saban was never an in-your-face guy.
No, the brand is, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fan
Saban just walked around and looked like he was mad all the time. That's all he did.
I like Prime. I don't want to not like Prime.
Right.
Gotcha. All right, more 3HL next. 104.5 The Zone. Man, Brentwood Jewelry, these are your guys. Valentine's Day is coming up. That's an important time for you. You need to get it right, and they will be able to help you out, and you can do it. They've got everything. Great selection, incredible selection. But what's different about these guys is the feeling that you'll have when you'll get to know the Amamali family. They do it up right. 7012 Church Street in the heart of Brentwood. BrentwoodJewelry.com is the website. They've got an incredible watch selection. You can check out their shop for pre-owned Rolexes. You can gift a fine pre-owned Rolex for a fraction of the cost. Every watch has been meticulously serviced to ensure the highest level of performance and is presented with a 2-year warranty. They offer an extensive online selection, which includes both prior models and the current models for you to compare as well. That's BrentwoodJewelry.com. You can check out the Hamilton, Braemont, or Oris watch lines as well. From sleek or classic to multifunctional, a watch that gets you the watch that fits your person's style and needs. You can find the perfect watch and the perfect price point that fits your budget at Brentwood Jewelry. 7012 Church Street in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for more than 50 years. Visit BrentwoodJewelry.com. Producer at 3HL is Joe Hunk.
Sup?
Ian Rappaport. Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, who has requests to interview with 4 of the open jobs, will speak with the Titans tomorrow. Titans. And the Chargers on Tuesday. Wow. I guess he wants the weekend off.
Yeah, weekends for family. I guess that's what he's doing. He probably gonna watch the games.
I thought weekends was for
the boys.
Michelob.
Orchards.
Yeah, that's what it was. Weekends was made for Michelob. Maybe he drinks Michelob. I don't know.
Orchards.
Panthers and the Falcons will also be on the docket. Okay. There you go. So, Brian Callahan in town. Probably right now. Hey, Brian, what's up, man?
What up, Callahan?
If you get the job, come in.
Come on in, buddy.
Aren't these the Zoom meetings, right? Or is this are they allowed to do
are they
in-persons
Zoom
now?
meetings?
I was about to say I think the first one has to be a Zoom meeting and then they can go to in person if I remember.
If it can be.
No, I thought it was playoff guys.
Yeah,
Oh, maybe
playoff
playoff
guys.
guys.
There's a difference. Like one has to be Zoom, the other can be in person.
There's a lot of rules to it, basically.
Yes, I've got all the pages.
Yeah, you do.
It's crazy. It's hard to keep up with. Now we can eliminate half of it after this weekend, so that'll help.
Crazy.
But
Yeah,
this week's, what I did notice in it is this week's initial meetings with coaches that are involved in the postseason are very important so that you can move ahead quicker later on moving forward if your goal is or your target is one of those coaches that is coaching in the postseason. So this week is important. As far as that initial contact and initial interview.
We joked about it yesterday with Vrabel getting fired on Tuesday, Nick Saban retiring on Wednesday. You and I joked about it during the whole show. Like, what's tomorrow? Bill Belichick, I guess. And then, sure enough, Bill
What'd
Belichick.
I say? He gone.
Bill Belichick sat down at the table to talk about parting ways with the New England Patriots and said this.
Hi, good morning. Seen this many cameras since we signed Tebow.
And there you have it, Bill Belichick.
He gone.
That's basically the most entertaining thing he said.
How long do you think he had that one up his sleeve? Think he knew forever that when he was gone, he was going to
probably worked on it.
Use that one?
I think somebody just walked in and said, "Hey, Bill, is this your retirement one? Just have some fun. Just go out there and have some fun with it."
That's all you get.
Yeah.
Where's he coach next?
Huh.
Falcons are interested.
What about him in Dallas?
Never in a million.
That would be fascinating.
I've got the odds
too.
from betonline.ag. Do you want them?
Yes.
Well, I'll have to get through all of that.
Well, no, I don't. I lied.
No, screw those.
You want Little Caesars pizza?
He wants some.
Don was so excited to go home yesterday. Should I not say this?
I mean, everybody's listening in the car.
Okay.
But yeah, I was so excited to have
have pizza
Domino's. To have pizza night. Domino's. I love Domino's. I'm a Domino's girl. Love me a
Domino's is
nice
pretty good.
cheese, yummy Domino's pizza.
They changed their crust not too long ago, and it's got some kind of garlic butter on it or
Yeah,
something.
no,
I mean,
they
reason I
do.
like Domino's the most.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's on point.
It's
They know
yummy.
what to
It's
do.
my favorite. And you know, I'm splurging. I'm going with the pizza night.
Ooh.
I get
You were
home and
so
they get-
excited.
I was so excited.
You told me about it like four times.
I know. I have issues. So I get home. What did the family do? Little
Domino's.
switcheroo.
Hey.
Little switcheroo. No Domino's for Dawn.
Ha joke's on you.
No Domino's.
I have those odds for you.
What's the
The odds of me losing it because it wasn't
Oh
Domino's.
no, that's
or-
1-to-1.
Yeah.
That's 1-to-1. That's not. It's like a half.
Poor Little Caesar. He just run around there in his little dress, you know?
Little caveman dress.
Man.
Yeah.
I
All right,
mean,
what
it
you
was
got?
fine.
All right, the 25-to-1 odds for
Sorry.
Bill Belichick to be this team's next head coach. Seattle Seahawks, 9-to-1. Raiders, 8-to-1 odds for the Chargers. Panthers are a 7-to-1 favorite.
No way.
Titans are at third with a 4-to-1 favorite. Commanders at a 3-to-1 favorite and a 1-to-1 odds for him to be their next head coach, the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. It's Falcons 1, Commanders 2, Titans 3. With regard to the Titans list, if you just want to go down that list, it's funny that it's a little different. This is from Bet Online. Best odds for the next Titans head coach, it's a tie between Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator at Houston, who has ties to Rand Carthon and makes a lot of sense, and Bill Belichick.
Would you want Bill?
Not me.
I don't
want
from a selfish media covering that team perspective.
It would be entertaining.
From what I've seen without Tom Brady perspective, I don't want to.
I think you'd get the band back together. I think Josh McDaniels would be the quarterback guy again. And
Gronk already said,
we talked with Gronk about
loves
that.
Nashville.
He said he don't want to block anymore, though, but he'll catch a few passes.
Yeah, we got plenty of blocking tight ends. Vrabel just left.
We specialize.
Plenty of them.
That is definitely true.
Need that
but they used them all on one play.
Yeah, it still didn't
That didn't work.
All right, so next Titans head coach from betonline.ag. Bill Belichick and Bobby Slowick, the favorites at 4-1. Mike McDonald, the Ravens defensive coordinator, at 5-1. Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator, at 6-1. Mike Kafka.
No.
With the Giants, 7-1.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
Who else is on this
Let
list?
me ask you.
Jim Harbaugh at 10-1.
I don't see that one happening. But, because you kind of talk about like roster control and all of that and who makes the final decisions, who's in charge. Is Bill Belichick okay with going to a place where he doesn't have that anymore and he's back to just a coach?
No, and I think that's why.
Years.
Yeah, I think that's why he's not here, because I think Miss Amy clearly wants a coach that's going to report to the general manager.
Right.
The coach is going to coach.
Yeah.
That's
let's see what else. Who else?
My favorite's the one after Mike Kafka because Slay didn't get to talk about it yesterday.
Dan Quinn.
Slay, you know why I know that you love that one?
What?
If you think Matt Ryan's a Nathaniel, who was his head coach in that
That
game?
is very true. He ain't recovered since either.
Hit it.
Nathaniel?
Thank you. I hadn't heard it in a while.
Jim Schwartz at 33-1.
Have we had any? This is a resurgence of Nathaniel.
What if Nathaniel Hackett gets the job?
Dude, let him get the job he wants to. Thank you.
What's up next, Hunt?
That would be the 3HL after.
All right, we are at Cedar Creek Marina, the new Scoreboard Party Grill tomorrow. Come by and see us. Love y'all. Thanks for including us in your day. Good night. God bless.
See ya.
Wouldn't want to be ya.